Good evening and welcome to the Wednesday, December 10th, 2025 Planning Board meeting for the town of Raymond. The board will come to order. The board does have a quorum. We'll start with roll call. Jackie?
Jackie Sawyer.
Greg Foster.
Robert O'Neill.
Mark Childs.
This is a public proceeding, and unless the board specifically votes to go into executive session, you have the right to hear everything that is being said and to look at all the exhibits that are presented. Please notify the chair if you are unable to see or hear. The board works from a published agenda and will be considering tonight's items in the following order. We have the approval of the minutes of November 17th, 2025, a sketch plan review, followed by old business, a discussion and review of the ordinance for banquet halls, a discussion review of the draft ordinances for marijuana regulation, followed by staff communications and adjournment. In each instance, the board works, in each instance, the burden is upon the applicant to demonstrate compliance with the provisions of the applicable ordinances or state law. All persons speaking, including representatives, the applicant, and members of the public are asked to stand at the microphone, state their name, address, and affiliation with the application. After the board votes, we'll skip that because I don't think we'll have a vote. And appeals from adverse decisions must be filed with the Superior Court or as otherwise provided by law within 45 days of the board's decision. That's enough. Okay, first order of business, the minutes for November 17th.
I'll move to accept the minutes of November 17th, 2025.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Passed. Minutes are accepted. We're up to the sketch plan review. Dustin? You want to just jump right in?
Sure. Yep. I can give kind of an.
Unless you guys have, do you have anything specifically you want to say first, Brett?
No, I think.
Yep, that's what I thought.
First, yeah.
Yep, go ahead, Dustin.
Sure. Thanks for having us here tonight. Dustin Roma with DM Roma Consulting Engineers here tonight. Tim Clinton. So just to kind of give you a little bit of history of this parcel. So it was originally acquired as a 60-acre lot back when the adjacent project for Raymond Hills Village was developed a few years ago. At that time, about 4 acres out of the 60 was divided and transferred over to the adjacent parcel to kind of make up some open space in order for that project to be developed as a 25-unit project, residential project. A new road was built in from Webb's Mills Road called Honey Hill. Hey there, hey, no problem. So that road was built, provided access to those 25 units. And at that time, we had envisioned developing this parcel, but we had kind of reached that maximum number of dwelling units that's allowed on a dead-end road for that project. So we've been looking for a second way to access this property. And what we've got here and proposed is there's an additional lot that has just recently come up for sale, which now Tim is in the process of purchasing, be closing on it in about a week. And so that parcel at 35 Webb's Mills Road has an existing dwelling on it currently. We applied to the Maine DOT for a permit to basically build a subdivision road over the location where that existing driveway is now. So that permit's been filed and we're waiting for that approval through DOT, which we expect shouldn't take too long, maybe a week or two.
And the house?
The house is basically adjacent to the road there, so that's going to stay. It'll just have access from this new road. It's got a garage that's located pretty close to where that road's going to be, so I'm not certain that garage is going to be able to stay. So we're either going to have to modify the house to remove the garage or potentially just redevelop that lot with a new home. So we'll kind of further develop that plans as we go. We also intend to potentially utilize that lot for some stormwater management for the water that comes down off the hill there towards the roadway. There is an existing culvert that goes underneath Webb's Mills Road just to the north of where this driveway exists that'll be rebuilt as a road access. It does have some nice level approach coming off of 85 currently at the grades that are there. So we will be able to meet that requirement of a 3% slope, I believe, for the first 75 feet before we transition up to, I believe, a maximum of 8% slope as we come up through the development. We've got two kind of critical elevations where we're going to be crossing the pole line and the pipeline. So those are two locations where we really can't change the grade of the road substantially because of the existing infrastructure that's there. So the way we've laid out the roads is to make sure that we can cross in those two locations and still meet those slope requirements. So we've got about 2,000 feet of road that's being built just to kind of access the main part of the project before we actually get into access to any of the lots that are being proposed there. It's about 5,500 feet of roads all in total. And again, about just under 2,000 feet of that are going to be just for basically the two access points, 900 feet on one side and about 1,000 feet on the other. So we've got basically a looped road configuration on the lot itself once we cross the pipeline. We've got some vacant land to the north and east that's owned by the Burnhams to the north, and also between this property and Webb's Mills Road as you get further north. To the rear, to the east, is property that's owned by the town. And of course we abut the Honey Hill project to the south. So we've laid out some areas for potential future road extensions into some of those other properties. Not sure what the plans are for those individual owners, if they intend to develop them at some point in the future, but as we further develop this plan, that'll be kind of a critical piece that we keep to make sure that we've got some decent access in multiple locations to those properties if these roads are to be extended in the future. We will be extending the public water main off from the main that exists that was extended up into Honey Hill. We've had some preliminary discussions with the water district in regards to the layout of the infrastructure as well as anticipated fire flows and pressures throughout the development. We do have some elevation rise as we get towards the back of the site. And the water district is going to work closely with us in the design just to make sure that we do have we're achieving the required fire flows as well as the domestic pressures, so that we're not looking at a bunch of limited service agreements or anything like that. So they've given us, again, some preliminary feedback, and that'll be another critical piece that we work through here in this initial stage. The project's going to require a site location permit through the Maine DEP. So that'll be a process that we've had a preliminary discussion with them just about the process and whether or not it does look like the option to have a third-party review is available, and we're potentially going to be utilizing that to try and keep a reasonable timeline for project review. Without that third party, it's probably going to be in excess of a year to get permits through the Maine DEP. So we'd like to get started sooner than that. So again, we'll be permitting this through the DEP and having a third party complete some of the review of the stormwater components to try and maybe get a permit review maybe in a 5 to 6 month time period, which is what it's supposed to be. But so that's our anticipation there. We have had the site inventoried for wetlands and vernal pools, and even, I mean, it's a 60-acre site, and there are no wetlands on the property, no vernal pools either. The soils we're anticipating to be very similar to the Honey Hill project, a very granular material with quite a few boulders. There's some mounds in the topography currently throughout the development, and again, we're just anticipating, piles of gravel deposits just throughout. So have a lot of boulders that we're going to kind of use to, decoratively around the site. Each of these lots, as currently proposed, is right around 40,000 square feet. They're all intended for single-family homes. The way the ordinance is written, the way we understand it, is that each of these lots at 40,000 square feet could be single-family use, or they could be built as a duplex. Our intent is for them to be single-family lots. As we further develop the plans and we lay out our expectations for traffic and the amount of access to the site and impervious areas, it's going to be important for us to kind of nail that down as far as how many single-family lots, if we want to create an opportunity for any of them to be duplexes. So I just wanted to bring that up now, as it's something that we're looking at, and it's something that will certainly firm up as we go through the process and develop our studies. We do intend to build sidewalks throughout the project. We'd like to have the sidewalks loop around the kind of the big internal loop and then head down towards the Honey Hill development. So we anticipate roadways that have potentially curbing with a sidewalk on one side and then maybe open ditches on the other side. That would provide some kind of wider roadway services. So in the event that we have vehicles parked on the side of the road, during construction of the homes, as well as, from time to time, having that extra shoulder on one side helps keep the roads less congested as compared to a double curbed road. So that's what we're going to be looking to do here. Power obviously would be underground throughout. We anticipate multiple stormwater ponds to be built, really just because of the drainage from the site kind of leaves in different directions. It's not a constant flow from one side to the other. We've got some high spots throughout, and we'll be doing study point analyses at various points that'll where we intend to build some stormwater ponds that'll provide water quality treatment as well as flood protection. Other than that, I believe that's kind of a summary of where we're at currently. Again, a lot of these discussions so far have been preliminary. We think this would be a great opportunity to get some feedback from the board if you have any at this early stage, and certainly anything you'd like us to consider. Would like to get that feedback as well. One point of discussion which I just wanted to bring up, these two roads that we're proposing, what the ordinance requires is a separation of 400 feet. And I just wanted to be kind of clear, the way we've designed this, we've got the road separated all the way to the edge of this lot that's being acquired. Those two access points are 400 feet apart exactly from center line to center line. So that's just an important distinction that, again, we just want the board to acknowledge that separation, and we just want to have a discussion to make sure that that is meeting the way that the ordinance should be interpreted as far as that separation goes. If the interpretation is that the 400 feet is supposed to be like between the edge of pavement or something like that, then it may be necessary to discuss a waiver. So we just don't want that to be something that, trips us up later, because that's a very important part that we don't have much control over, because that's the separation that we can provide. So that'll be an important discussion to whether we get resolution tonight or it's something that we follow up on. We're just going to want to address that early. Okay. So with that, I'll turn it back over to you, and we're happy to answer questions.
Is that 400 feet with the special Dustin ruler, or is that truly 400?
That's measured on the computer, so yeah, we can wheel it out and everything. Yeah.
Septic, individual?
Individual on-site systems, yep, on each lot, yep.
The Honey Hill, those were duplexes, weren't they?
Those are duplexes. They've got one large common system for leach field as well as a few smaller ones. There's, I think, 2 or 3
Yeah.
septic fields that just serve a couple of buildings, and then there's one larger one in the back with a pump station.
How's that working?
Great, yeah, I
Great,
mean,
no-
yeah, it worked out good on that project. Yeah, the soils are great for that. I mean, we could do something again like that here, but the density is much more spread out, and I think it makes more sense to do
Yep.
individual systems here.
Just, I know Wayne is will have an interest in this curve part of the road if you're going to allow parking, and whether or not his fire truck's going to get through there.
Yep, yeah, and we understand there's certain parts of the project that'll need to be signed, and, we've, worked
Okay.
with Wayne on some of these other projects, so, yep, we're aware of that, and hopefully we can kind of find a balance where we can have some on-street, availability, and we'll certainly protect the areas where there could be congestion.
Okay. The board have questions?
Like, I'm curious how it works with the power line going through there. You just need easements from the power company, or but it's a pipeline? Oh, not a power line.
Yeah, it's pipe.
Yeah, so there's a pipeline.
power line,
Yeah, it's both. There's overhead power lines
there are?
and
Yeah.
pipelines. So in this area, like, Tim actually owns the interest in the land, and it's the utility companies that have the easement over our land.
Okay.
But we do, because of the infrastructure that's there, we do need to coordinate with them, and we're not allowed to build roads, or we're not allowed to build out the project in a way that's going to compromise their infrastructure. So we have to work together.
Yeah. And you can still meet setbacks and everything with the lots like they are, from.
Yeah, the way it's laid out currently, we've got, that pole line pipeline would run in the backyards of some of those lots, so those buildings would be located up closer to the road. And we'd like to lay them out so we can keep some treed area between the building sites and the pole line, so it's not just cleared out. There'll be a fair amount of tree clearing on the road that leads from Honey Hill and kind of snakes up to the pole line there, just because of the grade differential through there. It's kind of a steep existing grade that's there, so there's a fair amount of material that's going to need to come out just uphill of the stormwater detention pond that's was built as part of the Honey Hill project. That's actually on this parcel in an easement. So there'll be some tree clearing there, and actually get some, it's called Sebago View, and there are some decent views once you get up to the pole line area.
Get the trees out of the way.
Dustin, where does the power line go across? Could you just
Yep.
point that out for me?
I think these lines.
Yeah.
Oh, it's these lines, okay.
Yeah.
The road's there, yeah, so these are the building lots, yeah, across in the back.
Oh, it would help if I had it in the right direction. Okay.
I was curious too about like thresholds for density and stuff for, I know it meets our acreage requirements and everything, but are there thresholds as far as like traffic is concerned, or, the density of how many are in this area or anything like that?
Yeah, when Dustin submits his actual application, he's gonna have a really nice table on there that's gonna break out the net residential density calculations for us, right, Dustin?
Yep.
So, and another thing too, I think, Dustin, that, maybe if I can follow up with you on the interpretation for the distance between the roadway access points, but if we do get to that point for a waiver though, I think based on our previous discussion, you had mentioned that access point had site distance, right? But later on down, it became not conforming, correct? To that site distance standard?
Yeah, so these as currently laid out are going to be as far apart as we can get them. It's going to go all the way to the edge of the property that Tim's acquiring at 35 Webb's Mills. Well, yeah, we do meet site distance requirements there, but we're not requesting waivers from safety standards. So the DOT will need to review the driveway entrance in accordance with all of their standards for drainage, for sight distance. They don't have driveway separation requirements because of the classification of a minor collector road. They have separation requirements for things like arterials and mobility corridors, but in this case, they don't. So yeah, we would not be requesting any safety waivers. It's just, our hope is that we can come to a consensus that, you know, the 400-foot separation is met, but in the event of, you know, there's any gray area there and you feel that you'd be more comfortable giving a waiver, then yeah, it'd be an important distinction that it's not a waiver from any DOT safety criteria. It's just a local ordinance which wants the roadways separated.
And the access road we're talking about is over as far as it can, but maintaining the buffer on the property to the abutter's property? Is that true?
Well, it's going to be located right over the existing driveway that's there, so we're not going to be cutting more trees, but it's right up against the side property line.
And I'm just thinking, there's one car going into a garage, now there's 47 cars
Yep.
going over that road, which is right on the, right, that doesn't have the
Sure.
buffer, right? So,
Yep.
to one, I don't have any problem with the 400 to 400 interpretation, center line. I mean, personally, I don't think that's a problem unless you guys come up with something. But I would have a problem with, you know, turning that driveway into the access point for a 37 lot development without some concurrence from those abutters
Okay.
that they acknowledge that in fact there's going to be a lot of traffic there.
Sure. Yep.
I don't.
Yeah, we've been in discussion with the owner there, so we've got a dialogue there that we can have, so make sure that any concerns they have will be addressed.
Okay.
And it's just the one, so that there's a row of lots on 85, and then it's just one single row, and then we own all the land behind it. So.
All right, I don't want to leave the 400 before the board. I don't want to speak for the board. Is everyone, are you okay with you?
Center to center?
Center to center?
Sure.
Yeah, okay, so that's fine.
Okay.
I don't think you need anything specifically from us, it'll just be.
Yep, yeah, just a discussion item for tonight, so that we're all on the same page.
Okay,
I have one more question.
go ahead, Jen.
I don't know what the town's like history or policy has been on like TIFs with developments like this, but I know, you know, we've discussed as part of the comprehensive plan trying to make the downtown village area more walkable, more pedestrian friendly and accessible, and I love that you want to put sidewalks throughout the subdivision. You know, I would love to see sidewalks that go kind of down to you know, down to 302 or up to Mill Street that, you know, could create more walkable streets and safe streets for pedestrians. Just kind of wondering if, you know, TIFs would be something to consider, if there were any, you know, desire to try and create more sidewalks that would connect to other parts along Webb's Mills Road.
I love it. Yeah, I mean, there's not necessarily like a framework in our ordinance for something like that, though. But like, I think it's something, like you said, it's something that we identified that we should be working on. I know like some communities where maybe they aren't as like pro TIF, if you will, but they are more in favor of just having the applicant put on an easement with an understanding that, like an easement to the town, understanding that down the road, maybe the Public Works Department, if they wanted to do future improvements on there kind of thing. I don't know what the town's history in the past is with being aggressive for those kind of easements to try to acquire those, to do those future improvements. But at least for a TIF, though, I think that would start with just a dialogue with, you know, the town manager and the applicants as well, just to try to frame that out and see if that's something they're interested in and how that process would work.
Yeah. Okay.
Dustin, could the access that goes onto the town property, I'm not you're probably better to answer this. Can that access, is that a walkable access to the 302?
So to get from the town property to 302?
Get from 302 to, oh, you have your map. Get from 302 to that access point that you guys are leaving there, that road access point on the east, the town borderline? What's that, that's the east
Yeah,
section?
so I think the access to the town-owned property now comes off from Patricia?
Patricia Avenue?
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's how you get to the town-owned parcel currently.
Yeah, the town parcel looks something like this.
Does it abuts this, the town
Yeah, it
parcel?
does, yep, it abuts it
Triangular
to
piece is
to the north.
Burnham's.
the, or, yeah, to the east.
There's not a lot of frontage, I don't think.
Oh, okay,
Common boundary.
okay. Thanks. Brett, maybe, or for you guys, the house lot, if you're going to be using it, does that become part of the subdivision? So in your calculations are going to be that area that is now going to be combined with the subdivision?
Yeah, so that's a detail that we'll have to sort out because there's a couple of nuances with that lot,
Yeah.
in that it's in the shoreline zone. So it's already an existing non-conforming lot, so we can't, I don't believe that we can actually take land from it and add to the subdivision. It would need to become in its entirety part of it. Or alternatively, we would provide just an easement over the property for this access road. I think that was the direction we were going right now, is that that house lot would stay like it is. We would just provide a 50-foot easement over it to be able to build the road in.
But I think if you're going to be counting on it for your stormwater runoff, it's becoming part of the project.
Yep, yeah, and we're not opposed to, whatever way it's got to be, we'll sort that out.
Okay.
But yeah, our biggest concern is not, we don't want to just lose the status of that lot as, because again, it is in the shoreline zone and everything. We don't want it to become just a road, if we can keep it as a house lot. But
Oh, yeah, because it's non-conforming.
yeah, and we can add land to it. I mean, there's things we can do.
Okay.
Because it will get road frontage off the new road. So
Right.
to the extent it's substandard now for road frontage, we can remedy that. Same thing with acreage. It needs more acreage to be conforming. We can fix that as well if we need to. So I don't have an answer right now as how we'd want to propose that. So we'll make sure we look at the options, work with staff, and figure out what's going to work best long-term for that.
Okay, I would just think that it's going to be, it's going to be winding up as part of that division. I mean, it's becoming the road becoming a road for the access.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to be using it for stormwater for the development. It's part of, it's kind of like a backlight driveway.
Sure.
Let's see, right? That was my questions. Steve, you happy?
Or Mark?
Jeez, I could not get the name right.
Doug?
He's playing. He's playing. You know what it was? I was at that meeting last night.
It's too late.
It was late, 2.5 hours, I could. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
The only concerns, I don't have a
for it,
concern,
Mark.
but I would actually like to defer to Wayne on this, is what he feels about the water supply and fire truck turnaround. That's the only thing that I see that might be an issue.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
defer to Wayne, that's all.
Okay,
Other than
fire
that,
hydrants?
Yeah, they'll be throughout. Yeah, I mean, as needed, we'll work with Wayne on approval
Okay.
of all the hydrant locations as well as the water district. We're going to design these roads so that they can be offered to the town for acceptance if the town wants to take them over. But,
Yep,
so we're going to tee them up so that they're available
Great.
to be accepted, and then it'll be the town's decision, obviously, if they
Yep.
want to take them. But
Wayne,
Yes. There was a question that you wanted me to try to address first.
did you have a question?
Just as if you saw any preliminary concerns about the road and the density of the lots. ability for the fire truck to, apparatuses to turn or anything?
Yeah, so a couple of things. Am I echoing?
Nope.
I am.
No, you're fine.
No, you're fine.
Wayne.
Okay. So with the access roads themselves, if they were designed with the curbs on each side like Honey Hill is, that's really tight. Those roads are really tight. So that, because of that, having a lot of that development with fire lane designated as fire lanes was really important. So I was listening to Dustin talk about his alternative that he's thinking about for the approach on the road of not having that curbing on both sides and having a little bit more maneuver room there. We can certainly work with Dustin to come up with appropriate fire lanes and still maintain our access to the buildings. In our memo, the other thing was the water supply. We were concerned with Honey Hill, and it didn't reach the threshold where we had an issue because of the elevation of the water district needing a pump station to maintain fire flow and pressure. But this one's higher than Honey Hill is, so. And when just kind of taking a quick look at it, it's very, very close to the development in Wyndham off a Pipeline Road that does have a pump station in it. So something that we're concerned about, one of the recommendations that we had was making sure that the water mains are looped in their entirety, so all the flow is from two directions. So to do that would mean going up Webb's Mills Road and going in from that direction also to have water flow in two directions. And it would probably assist in our water supply potential up there on the higher elevations. Does that kind of answer your question where we're coming from, at least at this point?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yep.
Dustin, what size homes are you envisioning? I know it's early yet, but.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to be, acre lots, so, it's tough to tell. I mean, they're going to accommodate a wide variety of, you could build a big ranch on them, you could build colonial, but we envision, houses with two-car garages and
And the designs of the house to fit the lots, because I know you have some narrow lots.
Yeah, I mean, they're somewhat narrow, but I mean, they've got, at least 100 feet of road frontage. So, yeah, I don't anticipate the building styles to be significantly hindered by the lot geometry, based on the type of homes that people are building these days. We don't see a lot of 3,000 square foot homes anymore. I don't see them much. I don't know, maybe Falmouth or Cumberland or something, but you don't see them a lot around the Lakes region.
So you are not developing the homes like you did at Honey Hill. You are just developing.
I think it's going to be a combination. That there may be some homes that are built, but they'll also, I believe, some lots for sale.
Okay.
Yeah, so.
All right.
Yeah. And as far as the road layout goes too, again, I've been looking at some different things as well. I mean, one of the things that this layout has 2 4-way intersections on there, and I am going to look at potentially separating that a little bit, just because, a 4-way intersection requires basically a 4-way stop, or you have to designate one as being the throughway. So if we stagger the intersection and separate the 2 legs a little bit, then you end up with a throughway and then 2 stop conditions on the other side. So there's some stuff like that that'll, we anticipate doing some adjustments here as we continue through the design.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, through to Dustin.
Yep. Go ahead, Wade.
Dustin, you were talking about there might be some grade challenges that we might be facing. Can you kind of point out where you think that might be, and what are we talking about for the challenges?
Yep. Yeah,
It
and
might not
yeah,
get the 10%.
yeah, there won't be grade challenges reflected in the road. It's just grade challenges in that we've got some earth moving to do to get to the grades that we need to in order for the roads to meet the standards. So we are not going to be requesting waivers from the maximum, road grade or anything like that. There's just, some challenges similar to Honey Hill, but we had to kind of terraform that site. Like today, it doesn't look anything like it did when we started. So there'll be some of that going on this lot as well, to get the access points. If you know anybody that needs gravel.
Okay, we're probably going to want a site walk. What is your timeline as far as what is the state of the property in right now? And when, probably not until after the holidays
Sure.
at this point, is that going to work as far as where it's nice when you can take us, at least show us the marked out roads.
Yep. So for a project like this, I can kind of give you an overview, and you can decide how much of this you're going to want to see. So there are some nice trails through the property that are very walkable. They're marked. They've been made available to the Honey Hill, community, and they're aware that they're out there. So they've been cleared and marked and everything. So that's the kind of the best way to walk through there. One thing that we could do, we have survey grade GPS equipment. We could do a site walk the trails with a plan, and we can kind of step by step tell you exactly where you are on the plan, as opposed to staking out all the roads and trying to kind of envision it through the woods and looking at flagging. We've done that for several site walks, especially on these bigger projects like this, especially where there's not, wetland areas, stream crossings, things like that, where you might want to see exactly where something's going. Once you get across the pole line, the whole lot basically looks the same. It just kind of goes up and down, same soil types, no wetlands. So that would be my suggestion, is that when we do the site walk, it's kind of a guided tour with a GPS system, and we stop along the way, and I just tell you exactly where you are, and that would probably be and then we can spend some time looking at the access points to the subdivision out at the road, and stuff like that. We can look at, there's an area where the property does kind of come close, or we have some lots that come close to there's a couple of homes on, I think, Eagle's Nest that comes off of Patricia Ave. You may want to look at those areas for buffering, and luckily the trails kind of go right past that area. So.
Okay.
So that would be my suggestion, rather than, we can go out and mark everything out, but it's probably going to get tweaked along the way as we do design, so it'll be a big effort that'll probably not be all that precise in the end.
Thoughts, you guys? Shoot for sometime in January or wait a little while?
That sounds great, the GPS enabled.
A little snowshoe.
It's not gonna snow in December, January.
Are there any of the existing snowmobile trails that this is going to be kind of eating into?
There is a trail that crosses through there.
Yeah.
So it's kind of, it's in the tree line, just inside the, it's pretty close to where the road's going.
Yeah.
Actually.
Okay.
So, yeah, you'll be able to tell when we're out there, and we'll walk down the center of the road, and we're basically going to be on a snowmobile trail.
Yeah.
Are you coming by snowmobile? Is that what?
Well, no, I don't live far from this, honestly, and so I walk on those snowmobile trails, and we take the dogs out back and everything. There's some really nice trails that are
So
back.
now you'll have a nice paved sidewalk.
As long as it doesn't take all the trails away, I'll work with it.
All right, how about sometime in January? Will that work for you?
That works for us, yep.
Guys, what would you like? Later, earlier? Your availabilities?
Doesn't matter at all.
Doesn't matter at all?
Cold morning sounds good, yeah.
Cold Saturday mornings? I don't think we can get it in during the day, during the weekday.
No, I could do a Friday, but a weekend is good too.
It doesn't, yeah, it makes no difference to me. Would you rather do
Weekend.
Friday, late Friday morning? No,
Saturdays
Saturday it is.
would be best.
All right. What about the 10th then? January 10th? January
Yeah, that's after our
17th?
next planning board meeting.
planning board meeting is on the 7th?
Yeah.
Do the 10th, do the 17th. I know these are really, we have no real rush, right? Whether you do it, are you planning on coming back to the next, no, you missed the deadline anyway.
Yeah, I mean, we weren't planning to come back until we've got kind of like full layout plans. It's probably going to take us January to fully finish the plans.
Okay.
We'll probably be back in February. So I think walking the site in January, and by the time we go out there, we will have made the adjustments. Like if we're talking January 10th, then we're going to have some better plans with, where the ponds are going, all that stuff.
All right. Would the 17th work better as far as that goes then?
I
doesn't
don't think
matter.
it matters. I think what you're going to find when you go out there is it's just a nice big wooded parcel. So not a whole lot of specific things to look at.
Okay.
And we'll have our DOT permit by then, and
January
or
10th?
not, and then we'll have
January 10th, okay with everybody? For you guys,
What time?
what time? Real, 9, 10?
9.
9 sound good? 9 okay?
That's great.
9's good? Dustin, 9 on the 10th?
Yep, 9 a.m. on the 10th, and
You'll take care of the weather to make sure it's good that day?
I will. Yep,
Okay.
I'll get a little thaw ahead of time. And
Perfect. All right.
The weather guy.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Wayne?
where would you like to have us park? As West Mills is busy.
That's a good question.
Hill.
Yeah, we could meet in there. Is there, well,
yeah, I mean, yeah, there's parking available
in Honey Hill along that road?
Yeah, there's a lot of no parking signs in there, but we got.
Yeah, who pays attention to those things?
On a Saturday morning at 9.
We got that access road stub.
If we can get a temporary,
Yeah,
stay of any violations
Don't
just for a
fall
site
on
walk,
us.
then
Yeah, well, we'll have Wayne with us, so we'll be okay.
okay.
All right, so we'll meet then right off of Honey Hill Lane on where the access is?
Yep.
Would that work?
Yep, that'd be great.
I mean, where you're gonna
Yeah.
cut?
Yep. So yeah, there's already a little turnout there. There's a mailbox right there as well. So
Oh, okay.
yep, we can start there, and then the trail kind of cuts off and goes up the hill to the right. So yeah, be a good starting spot.
Okay. Good, thanks, Wayne, that's a good idea. What else do you need from us?
I can't think of anything else. I think this is a good initial meeting, and we got our next steps lined up. So yeah, I think we're good. We're going to be doing some public notices on our own, as well as public informational meetings just for the DEP process. So there'll be some advertisements going out to abutters, and notice in the newspaper about a public meeting. So that's not anything to do with the planning board. We'll be doing it on our own because of the site location process. So just so everyone's aware.
Okay.
Is this site walk open to the, people if they
Site
want
walk
to
is
come
open.
too?
Yep.
Yeah, okay.
And you're going to be doing that before the site walk?
Yeah, the public informational meeting we'll probably have right after the holidays. We'll probably be close to around the same time, beginning of January.
Okay.
Bob, just an FYI, you're cutting it close for getting a butter notices out for the site walk.
Oh, geez, Sandy? It's true, because we got,
With the holidays and the publication and holiday mail, because the mail is so fabulous to start with.
the weather was going to be perfect on the 10th, too. Now we have to move it to the 17th, and it's going to be rainy and snowy.
No, you'll just have to have the weather switch from the 10th to the 17th.
All right, Dustin?
Yep, yeah, it's fine with me. I mean, I know one of those is like a holiday, like
Oh, yeah, that's right.
MLK on the 19th, but
Yeah, but the 17th wouldn't be the holiday. It would be a holiday weekend, but
My season's pass is blacked out that weekend anyway.
Perfect, that's a perfect time for us.
Perfect.
Oh, good. I'm glad to hear that, Dustin.
Yeah, so I'll love to do the site walk on the 17th.
Is that okay with you guys?
That's fine.
I mean, I'm coaching girls basketball at 9 o'clock, but I don't think I'd have to be there. I think it's more for you guys.
Oh, no, we can't do it without you.
Yeah. Sorry
All right,
about that,
24?
guys. I just don't want
No,
us
I'm
being
only
in
kidding. 17th it is.
Yeah.
Brett, you okay with 17th?
Let's do it.
Okay. 17th, same time, same place. Thanks, Andy.
Very good.
Okay.
All right.
I think we're done.
Everyone's time tonight. Thank you.
You're quite welcome. All right. All right, next up, the banquet hall and the marijuana. Let's take a look. Go ahead, why don't you start?
All right.
You haven't said anything in a while.
Careful what you wish for. And I guess, real quick, I know it wasn't on the agenda, so I won't talk about it really too in depth. On page 2, I did have something about parking for short-term rentals.
Yep.
It's more of a housekeeping item, and I think that's probably more appropriate for next month, obviously, that we'll make sure it's on the agenda and we can talk it to death and then have a public hearing about it too even. So not super controversial, but like I said, I won't get too deep into that one. So for the banquet halls, as you'll recall, back in, I believe it was October was the last time we had talked about this. We talked about our definition.
Hey, Brett, before you go, while you're on that parking though, this is our sole change that we're looking at for parking?
So this, for the off-street parking you're talking
Yeah.
about? So this stems from in our proposed short-term rental ordinance.
Right.
We reference a standard in the land use ordinance
Right.
section, but we don't
Okay. that's it.
define
Okay.
where it belongs. Exactly. So that's just more, like I said, administrative kind
Okay.
of thing. So, yep. So for banquet halls, like I said, I think it's been a little bit since we've had an opportunity to talk about both of the banquet and marijuana, especially. It's been a little while for there, but for banquet halls, last time we had talked about our definition, which has remained the same. We had talked about the use designations dependent upon the zoning district classification, and then we had had some dialogue about performance standards, about timing restrictions or frequency of use limitations. And what we had talked about last time were setbacks, minimum parking, and then another thing that was brought up was our peddler's ordinance as well. The board did not really have much interest in the timing component. Portable restrooms were fine outside. And there's no limitation or justification really to put a limitation on the frequency of uses at this point in time. So what you have before you now are, and I'll just kind of go through each of these performance standards one by one. So in subsection A for setbacks, we do identify front, side, and rear, which are all 50 feet. Some other ordinances have a 100-foot setback. Right now in our ordinance, we have no setbacks in our commercial district. So this is kind of a happy medium, if you will, for a couple different reasons. One, because it kind of is in between that 0 to 100 feet. But we also, in our ordinance, and Jason, you might be able to cite it better than I, but we have the buffering required.
Where commercial abuts.
Where commercial abuts residential, that is a 50-foot requirement as well. And then also, and later on you'll see for the marijuana standards as well, we also have another 50-foot setback for the agricultural type, and sometimes those might be business or commercial type uses, or aligned uses, I should say. So that's where that 50-foot came from, where I felt that was most appropriate, but obviously we can have that dialogue tonight.
Yep.
for the minimum parking, so below, I also included that off-street parking section just for reference. It was the most closely aligning off-street parking use, particularly with that last word there for assembly uses, where, and Wayne has identified this before as well, where these banquet hall type uses often fall under the assembly type use for his purposes. So we want to make sure that we're aligning our minimum parking standards with that as well. That is a little bit dependent upon, obviously, occupancy, size of the building, those kind of things. But again, that's something that would just, be upon the applicant to kind of show how they're meeting that standard. And then lastly, subsection C there for the applicability with other ordinances. We had indicated, obviously, if there's food trucks or mobile vendors or those kind of operations happening on site, that we want to make sure we're following our current peddlers ordinance. And then obviously receiving inspections and being up to code for Wayne for the fire and life safety, as he had mentioned last time. So that's the gist of it. I also included for note just a reference of our conditional use section, because if we're making these conditional uses, when this would go before the Zoning Board of Appeals, they would have these A through J criteria, essentially when they're justifying, whether to approve or approve with conditions or whatever. But also the performance standards, if you will, add, a little bit of backup where the applicant would have to kind of provide some basis of how they're meeting these standards. So that's the gist for banquet halls. So I'll turn it back over to you.
You mentioned the porta potties. Where is that in here?
It's not, because we talked about porta potties being okay with portable restrooms.
Oh, yeah, I'm fine with that.
Right.
But where are they? Where are the
It's
portable
under
restrooms?
terms defined.
Yeah, in the definition, I think it's like the second to last line there. We're talking about portable restrooms being included.
Yep.
In, yeah.
Got it.
Well, so some of these banquet halls or barns, they converted into like wedding places.
Mm-hmm.
And what if they're closer than 50 feet to the boundary line? Are we tell them they can't convert them to a banquet hall?
I don't know, this conditional use, like C says, will not generate noise, vibrations, fumes, or others that are detectable at lot boundaries.
Yeah.
Like, that seems pretty impossible to like.
Yeah.
We can't change that.
Yeah, unfortunately, we can't change that section.
Yeah.
But I guess, Greg, to your question, I would imagine similar to most other items, that structure itself would be grandfathered in, because it's not feasible, obviously, to move the location of that structure. It's similar to like what we saw earlier for that lot with Dustin, where if they were going to make significant improvements on site or things like that, I could see having, to bring up maybe like a greatest practical extent type review before Jason. But the actual structure's placement, though, I think that would be acceptable, I guess. Unless it was, are you talking about in the future if they wanted to go from a barn
Yeah.
type to a banquet hall type use, like down the road?
I've
Yeah.
seen a lot of them. That's
Oh, sure. Like a future conversion, not like a existing type use, right? Yeah, I mean, at that point, they would have to meet the setback criteria or request a variance, I imagine, through the Zoning Board of Appeals as well.
But for existing building, you think it could be grandfathered?
Well, if it's an existing banquet hall use, I guess is what I'm trying to say. I still think with that conversion of that change in use classification, right? Because you're going from something that was permitted to conditional, like you're changing the use designation, right? So I think at that point you would have to also seek a variance as well as a conditional use from the zoning board.
Well, as long as they have the option.
Right, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not like we're
Yeah.
limiting the options, I guess, yeah, but. And then Jackie, to your question about point C for generating noise, that's pretty typical state statute language. It's kind of why I brought it up last time. If we wanted to have a little bit more teeth or like solid foundation to kind of put like some restrictions on noise or timing restrictions past 10 o'clock p.m. or something like that, that would be the place for it in the performance standards, because the conditional use is a little vague.
Right. Yeah, I think it needs a little bit of clarification, or, I mean, that really leaves a lot up to interpretation.
It certainly makes the zoning board of appeals job a little bit more difficult.
Yeah.
I'm sure they won't love it.
So if we included like no music after 9 p.m., 10 p.m., whatever, a sound sort of thing as part of the ordinance, could that kind of supersede that generic?
I think it would help bolster it, right? It would give,
Okay.
if there was events occurring past that arbitrary, let's say 10 o'clock p.m. I say 10 o'clock, that's fairly common, I would say.
Yeah.
But that would give, let's say Jason gets a call or there's videos taken or whatever, like things like that. Similar to our short-term rental ordinance, obviously, it's not like a 3 strikes and you're out kind of thing, but like we need some kind of enforcement mechanism, and at least having that in there allows that option,
Okay.
You mean
if that's the way we wanted to pursue.
leaving C in?
Yeah, C's got to stay in. That's part of the conditional use.
Right.
Right, yeah, but if we wanted to add our, like a subsection D, for example, in our performance standards
Yep.
for like
To supersede?
timing restrictions kind of
Yep.
thing. Not to supersede, but just to supplement, really, just to kind of add a little bit more.
But C, I'm with Jackie. C, you'll never, if we're going to ask the zoning board of appeals to make decisions based upon the conditional use,
Mm-hmm.
if you're having a gathering, 50 people, there's no way you're going to have that noise not go past the boundary.
Well, if it's all inside a building,
Yeah, but what if it's outside?
I think this is part of where it becomes the burden of proof is on the applicant, right? Like if they have a business plan, like let's say, I'll just use the example of where I got married. I got married at a indoors, like a Four Seasons barn type place. And they had also a back patio where events could take place too. As part of their business plan, and what they presented to the board was, okay, no music past 10 o'clock p.m. We're going to have some, maybe some socialization outside kind of thing, but the general understanding as part of their plan, and when people would sign up to use the event space, was that 10 o'clock music's off kind of thing, and party's over. Lights come on in the building, people will start filtering out, they'll start taking down tables and chairs, and just, that's kind of like that process. And that would be something that I think would be appropriate for, the zoning board to consider at least, but it's still that the burden is on the applicant to at least outline how they're going to
Control the noise after
Right.
10 o'clock.
But where you had your wedding, your reception, what have you, did it have the town, was it in Raymond? Did it have a noise ordinance?
It was
Because we do not have one. So,
Correct.
So I keep going back to that where we're enforcing a 10 o'clock noise ordinance, but we don't have one. So if someone next door is having a party, they can keep going. But the banquet hall needs to shut down. I'm just...
yeah, a banquet hall's more than, we're talking about a commercial operation here, right?
You could have 200 people at your house if you want.
Well, oh yeah, no, I hear that, but are we talking, is anyone having 200 people at their house every couple of weeks?
No, but the noise ordinance is saying 10 o'clock, you're saying that you're a bother. I can't hear it. So if you have a neighbor and a party every weekend, you can have that. I just want to be, cognizant of, again, this is the theme of just trying to be even on everything, not 10 o'clock here, but
right.
your house, go for it.
But we do have a, I mean, it's not, as I was trying to explain to the selectmen, and there's that, it's the business, but it's not a business, right? One, you're having your personal party of 200 people with your septic system is not going to support, is not.
Exactly right.
Is different than if you're hosting
Right.
a party for 200 people and you are making money out of that. You're selling that service.
Sure.
I think that that's a clear distinction between personal use and business use. One is a business that's being operated in a money-making operation. One is a private individual that's hosting a party.
So is it just the frequency? Is that what the issue is? Because it's not the irritant, because the irritant doesn't matter if it's a business or it's a private person having a party. It's still.
Well,
I think it's the land use. You know, like it kind of gets down to incidental use. If I own a house, you know, maybe occasionally I'll have a party. Maybe occasionally you'll have, you know, a get together of some kind. But the use generally is of a house. You know, if you're converting something into something that's going to be used as an event space constantly, and it's being used primarily as the event space, it's just a different use. It's not a residence anymore. If it's, you know, kind of type of thing. So,
and I also think when your neighbor calls you up and says it's 10:30, could you turn it down?
You absolutely, you do. Sure.
You do, right?
Absolutely.
But if you've got a contract with a banquet that's going on till midnight, you're not going to turn it down, right?
There you go. That's what I was looking for. That makes sense. Yes, absolutely.
Oh, thanks, Charlie.
Love that. No, I love it. No, that makes sense.
Okay.
No, it's good. Yep. Yeah, no, because if someone calls and says it's loud, you say, no, I can go on forever.
Yeah. Okay, so we need to add something along those lines in there.
Yeah, and I know David probably has a couple of
His
comments,
hands up.
at least probably from the ZBA's perspective or his own, with having experience on the ZBA, I guess, rather than representing the ZBA. But yeah, I guess, yeah, adding a noise, like, so a subsection D for noise. And then I guess, Mark, to your point though, like where we don't have a
Is it enforceable?
noise ordinance per se, but at least we can outline some general criteria that would need
Sure.
to be considered for that business planner for the
Right,
operations on site.
Yep.
So in limited residential, well, the LRR1 and 2 zones is totally prohibited.
Yeah,
Yeah,
That's all of Raymond Cape.
yeah, we were going to talk about that.
Oh,
yeah, it was,
But yes, good.
all of the shoreland is what we had discussed, I believe, last time for this.
But
yeah, but that's shoreline zone. LRR1. LLR.
it seemed to make a lot of sense when we were talking about it last time.
Well,
But,
yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
but I agree with you. In reading it last night, it was like, that kind of thing doesn't make much sense. You know, if it's going to be a conditional use, and it's going to be the zoning board of appeals that's going to make sure that is in fact environmentally and all that safe, why are we excluding it? Why are we saying it can't be done there?
Yeah.
Right? I mean,
Yeah.
And we have a larger shoreline zone than most towns, so it becomes even more restrictive.
Yeah,
in that
exactly.
sense.
3 times it's bigger.
So that's conditional, you're saying?
yes, no,
It's a shoreline
Yep.
zone.
yeah.
Okay.
And obviously
Is that okay
street
with everybody?
too, Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so
I
David's
love it.
on there for, David, you in Zoom?
Yes, he is. He had his hand up.
You mean I've been ignoring him?
I believe he was waiting for the change in the conversation.
Gotcha. David, can we start? I got a question for you, if you don't mind me jumping in ahead of you. How would you interpret, the back page of the conditional uses if a project comes to you? It's particularly C, which I know you don't have a copy of that, but basically it says, no noise outside the boundary.
So, yeah, I will answer that question, but I'll backstep a bit.
Sure.
I didn't get Brett's well, I didn't see the posting of Brett's proposal until this morning. So it wasn't until after I got out of work today that I could put together anything for you to consider. But I did put together a 7-page memo I want you to know about. And as Brett indicated, this is not me acting as a member of the ZBA. This is just me as a resident with ZBA experience, having some things to consider. But yes, those categories are a big deal for us. I will get my memo to Sandy either late tonight or tomorrow so she can distribute it to you. It is 7 pages, but if it's okay with you, I'm just going to read the introduction, and it should give you a good enough summary of where my concerns are.
Okay?
So the purpose of this memo is to assist the planning board by identifying several ordinance level conflicts created by the draft banquet hall definition currently under construction. As written, the definition includes outdoor receptions, portable restrooms, and other exterior event components that do not fit within Raymond's existing conditional use framework and the structure of section 300-9.1 or the patterns established in the town zoning districts. Raymond's ordinance has always treated assembly type uses as indoor building-based activities, while outdoor uses have been limited to land-based non-assembly functions such as mineral extraction and cemeteries. The hybrid indoor-outdoor event model introduced in the draft definition would create a new use category that the ordinance does not presently support and would place the Zoning Board of Appeals in the position of evaluating impacts that the current review criteria were never designed to address. A banquet hall defined as an indoor use only is the option most consistent with 1, existing conditional use categories, 2, the requirements under section 300-9.1, especially including subsection C, number 3, Raymond's 2025 comprehensive plan, and finally 4, established zoning expectations within residential and rural districts. This memo outlines why an indoor-only definition provides clarity, compatibility, enforceability, and predictability while avoiding the unintended creation of outdoor event operations in districts not designed for them. So after that, I've got everything sort of listed out, hopefully in a logical manner for you to understand where I'm coming from.
Okay?
So basically, it's the outdoor components that are most troubling for us. Basically, the last 3 things in the definition of terms defined, the portable restrooms, outdoor gardens, or reception facilities. If you strip those from the definition, then I find that the ZBA would have the ability to, assess these from the conditional use perspective,
Well,
as the ordinances are currently.
portable restrooms might still be a necessity if you're doing it in a facility that does not have, right, restrooms. An indoor facility, I mean, there are, and there's probably a couple of 2-holders left, but I mean, there's, right, if there's a bar and you're using, and you want to use it for to fit the banquet hall definition, and you don't have any restrooms there, you're going to need a restroom.
I understand where you're coming from, but if you evaluate what we currently have for acceptable conditional uses, there
Yeah.
are ones which would, nursing homes, neighborhood grocery stores, funeral parlors, medical art buildings, public and quasi-public recreation buildings. Those are just some of them. But I guess my point is, these are going to be buildings that are going to be used for banquets, which if you're going to do that, then the conditional uses are already assuming that everything's going to be like an indoor operation. So trying to, in my opinion, like shoehorn some outdoor related portions of this is not going to work the way the ordinances are currently established for those criteria we have to use for conditional uses. So introducing an outdoor tent, introducing even porta potties is going to make that very difficult for us.
Okay. Well,
I think part of it you have to think about is, we're talking about something that's banquet hall, not just someone having a one-off something in their yard because they're having their own party.
right.
And in the past, it wasn't a peddler's, it was a special amusement permit is what they were getting to have, like, when somebody's having something in their backyard, a one-time thing, they get the special amusement permit.
Okay. Which would cover the net, which would
That's
cover
like a
the
one-time,
outdoor.
that's like a
outdoor.
one-time thing.
How do they do that? They could just go to town and?
Yep. Yep.
So we take David's suggestion and we remove the outside activities from banquet halls, but if even if then they wanted to do an outside, they could just get the,
An amusement.
Yeah.
they would get these.
I like that.
Yeah, I like that too.
Oh, yeah.
Another thing we could do, that I don't know if David would like this or not, that would
don't worry about it.
essentially, well, it would essentially remove the zoning board of appeals from it, but it would involve more planning board involvement, as we could make it permitted with site plan review, where the applicants would have to, instead of it being a little bit more vague and trying to meet these kind of things, maybe the ordinance would define within the performance standards that parameters in which the planning board would have to review. I don't know if that necessarily solves the issue, but it does remove that ambiguity from David's point of view, from where they're trying to base those outdoor uses for indoor facilities kind of thing too.
I think if we can get it out of the zoning board of appeals, that would be great, personally.
So you want to deal with it?
Well, I want you to deal with it.
We'll go to planning board.
Well,
Wouldn't anything that would need a conditional use have to come to planning board?
yeah, but I guess we're gonna change that, right, to some, no, yes.
Well,
usually
yeah,
that's
well, it'll be a
planning
change
board,
of
right.
use too, so.
So, but we have many things in the ordinance that, when we used to get just deluge of stuff, that says, code can make it if it's a contentious.
Right, the reviewing authority has or like if the code officer is the reviewing authority, they have the option to elevate it up to the planning board
Correct.
kind of thing as well.
So if it's a piece of cake thing, routine, you just sign off on it.
Yeah, I mean, there are some thresholds. You look, if you're doing a large parking area
Yeah,
or a 2,400 square foot building.
well,
that's
sure, I mean, that's,
automatically
yeah.
go.
right, we could do that, that's
Yeah.
easy,
Yeah.
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
But it would simplify, it would get the zoning board of appeals out of it. It would simplify the process for anybody that wants to do the event. They just meet the criteria, they come, if it's
They make their case.
the case. I mean, if it looks like it's borderline, then you bump it up to the planning board. If not, you just approve it.
I mean, so my dad is actually helping someone in Otisfield in a residential area do a wedding barn. And it went through planning board and, they're building full facilities, a bathroom, a small kitchen and a barn. But it's all contained. So, I mean, that's how they do in Otisfield. I know that.
That makes sense.
Would we still have it be conditional in shoreland zone, or would we also make that permitted as well? Just permitted across the board?
Yeah. I don't see does anyone see any reason not? I mean, I forgot why we did it last time, but
No, it would make more sense if it was permitted, and then it would still go for you, right?
yeah.
Yeah. Because it wouldn't have to come to us.
Well, we'll go to him unless he sends it to us.
Right.
Yeah,
But if it's
Well,
permitted, then
it's going to be based on the size.
right, basically.
And
We'll need some
I
criteria.
think the size is almost always going to kick it to the planning board, to
Right.
be honest.
Yeah, I don't blame you. I mean,
Yeah.
it's, right,
It's a larger scope.
yeah.
So I think what would be helpful is adding another probably subsection E, let's call it, for like space and bulk requirements, that at least defines that threshold, and kind of maybe another one below that maybe defines the application process of submitting the application to code office, what you need to submit. So if it's a parking plan, showing where you're gonna fit
Right.
those vehicles on site.
Yep.
Showing the size of the structure, where your septic's gonna be at, portable restrooms if you're gonna have them, that kind of thing. Obviously, want setbacks shown, make sure we're meeting all those. But I think just that general application process, and then again, referring back to that section in our ordinance where if it is codes, they have that option to elevate it up to planning board as well.
Yep.
I think that,
And I think we need to put a section for timeline in there so that people understand that if it's not 2 days, it could take a month
for like processing
for the
applications.
process.
Yeah, the other thing too, I think what probably initially started a lot of this in terms of like the conditional use, truthfully, is the public notification process of this, where if this type of use is going adjacent to your home, you would probably want to know and have the opportunity to speak at some public forum about it. I think that's probably why I initially had put this in there as a conditional use. That way those notices go out.
Makes sense, yeah.
Yep.
So I don't know if the mechanism would mimic similar to like our backlot driveways, where we also notify for backlot driveways
Right.
as well. That way, if it is going to remain at staff level review, that way at least people still have that opportunity to receive those notices and offer their public input to the town
Yep.
as well. So
And if you get a lot, then you kick it to the planning board.
So are we saying that for every occurrence, they need to come to get permit for it? Or is this like, once you get your designated permitted use, you can do it?
generally, most places I see the way they do it runs with the land, with the landowner. So they would apply for it once and it's good, and then if they get a violation or whatever, they would have their opportunity to correct it through the code officer, obviously, or I don't know that we need to be as I think like in our short-term rental ordinance, we had a clause in there that if the short-term rental ever changed ownership, then that new owner would have to go receive different approval. I think in most cases, it would just generally run with the land.
That makes a lot more sense than each individual event,
Oh, yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah.
But if it's gonna be a recurring thing, I'm not sure about the portable restrooms.
Can we put a time limit on it, on the event, like with, they can't stay there forever, or like permanently, but maybe within,
Oh, the duration of the event. Is that what
yeah.
you're talking about?
Well, the porta potties being present on the.
Oh, right.
property, Like,
Yep.
is that, or if they need to be like
Shielded and hidden
shielded or
from view.
covered or,
Yeah.
something so that they're just not.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, our nice one-page ordinance has now changed.
Thanks for nothing.
Can we ask these guys what they usually
yes.
do?
Yep.
Okay. Can you share what you usually do when it comes to like porta potties, or what's your plan for how that works?
Yeah, if you host a private event and you have over a certain amount of people, you rent a porta potty. They drop it off, and then they pick it up after the event on a Monday, and that's how it works.
Yeah.
Again, I just think it's really funny that we're even talking about this, because I wrote a letter, Sandy received it, to the select board, and I wrote it to the town manager, and I filed an FOAA to ask how we got here, like who signed off on rewriting the banquet hall ordinance. And because I couldn't find anywhere where they showed that this was voted on.
Well, it
to
has
be
not been
sent
voted
out.
on.
No, but the select board would have to rule
Requested to you.
to request it for you to rewrite any ordinance for the town of Raymond.
No, that's
It's
not
an
how it
already
works.
existing ordinance.
That's not how it works.
There's no banquet hall ordinance.
We don't currently have.
We have a banquet hall ordinance,
We don't have
We
one.
currently do not.
so you're just writing a banquet hall ordinance.
That's correct.
So,
All ordinances start right here. This is where they
right, but
start.
you said that you told me that the select board passed it down to
They
you.
passed down the short-term rental when the individuals that presented the short-term rentals,
Right.
which actually, the meeting you were at, which you accused me of not letting you talk, at that meeting, individuals requested that the banquet hall, an option in that short-term rental, be included in the banquet hall. That was not done because they're two separate things, as I tried to explain to you that first day. So we are looking at the banquet hall as a separate entity.
So my question was, so that group, the STR group,
Right.
wrote their ordinance that day, gave it to the select board, and they wanted it passed. But then Dennis said, let's send it down to them, to you.
Correct. Correct. They didn't, they had their 278 signatures, but those.
Which were null and void because those signatures were collected and things changed along the way.
Correct.
So that thing was thrown out. So
Correct.
stop bringing that up because that actually means absolutely nothing.
Well, I'm trying to explain to you where it came from.
But just be clear, I've had like a dozen people contact me to say, Jess, if I had known what those people were trying to do, I never would have signed that petition.
Okay,
They passed
so
it
let's
off
not
as
get,
something
ma'am,
different.
we
No,
we
you
politely
bring it up
asked you a
bring
question
it up
because we
lot,
wanted
so
to
I
get
just
your
wanna
input
say
on
it
the
was not a
ordinance. If you don't want to
public
give us the input,
announcement.
then please just sit down.
No. Okay. So my question is, I asked the select board, I asked Sandy, I asked everyone, like, how did we come up with now talking about this banquet hall ordinance? Was this a townwide problem? Because this SDR was this whole separate issue, correct?
That's correct, but it was I'm not going to go through this all again. I've explained this to you 3 times already. If you have anything else, please ask. Otherwise, please sit down.
Okay.
Thank you.
No, I'm not done, actually.
Well, yes, you are.
No, because I would like to know, like,
Ma'am, you are done.
okay.
It's not a public hearing to start with. We were not expecting to take public comment on this. There is going to be a public hearing when it's done, and you can ask your questions at that public hearing.
Maybe respond to Jackie's question.
That's what we asked you to do to start with.
But again, there's a lot of backstory to this as well.
There's a huge backstory.
Jackie, in terms of the porta potties, we assess that off of the number of people that are going to be in the party. So under a certain number of lives, people, we rent 1. If it goes over, we rent 2. We try and keep it comfortable and also shield it as well.
We always
Thanks.
shield it, yes. Yep.
Are they rented on a daily, weekly basis?
You rent it, they drop it off whatever day they can before the event,
Yeah.
and then they pick it up right afterwards on Monday. Say the event's on a Saturday, they'll pick it up on a Monday. It's a 1 fee, they just drop it off whenever they can. If they can drop it off on a Friday, great, whatever.
It's similar to a tent rental where it's
the same as the
logistics for
tent.
them. What day can they get over in that
Yeah.
area? Drop it off. What day are they picking it up?
Yeah.
Yep, and we've always hosted events that if it's over, smaller events, no, we don't need a porta potty because people aren't going to the bathroom. They're only there for a few hours when we're hosting birthday parties or stuff, and it's a smaller function. We're talking if it's, 65, 70 people or more. We only host ever on our property, ever hosted up to 120 guests on our property, which is
I'm sorry, but that's important. So we should, if we're going to require porta potties, we should put some sort of number in there. In other words, if you're
how many porta potties?
right, well, if you're having 40 people for 2 hours.
You don't need.
Yeah, right, so.
We have 3 bathrooms in our house. 40 people is like my family coming over on the weekend. You don't need a porta potty.
So I guess what I'm hearing is for probably screening standards as well as a frequency and you're talking about a cap or?
Well, I'm talking about being, I'm talking about if we say, if we were just to say 2 porta potties for 40 people and.
For 40 people?
Well, no, I'm not saying that.
That would be a lot.
Yes, I agree. So if we, but it's only for a 2-hour event, then we're asking them to provide something that is not necessary. Right?
So basing it off of occupancy, if.
Well, that's what septic systems you use because they're based on occupancy. We're getting into occupancy loads here with a
Yeah, we don't wanna
banquet
do
hall
that.
with seating, and I don't see any way around not having an actual bathroom.
Couldn't you just say sufficient, porta potties,
Or not even porta potties, just sufficient facilities.
facilities
yeah.
for,
Right?
I think people can determine, some people
Exactly, yeah.
build a facility that
Exactly.
can accommodate a large number of
We don't
people,
need to
and some
assign
people wouldn't
porta
want to
johns.
do that to their
Yeah.
systems, so they might prefer to do.
And then we get porta potties out of the mix completely and make Mark really happy.
Just say facility.
Why don't we just
woods
do
are
that?
for.
Right?
If you
Because I
guys,
think-
obviously, the Roma Farm has been hosting private events on our property because that's what I do. Jackie, you know that. So if you want to use us as a template, if you have questions, we've been doing it. We only do few seasonally. We are not a banquet hall. We are not a huge function place, but we do host private events. So there's nowhere else in Raymond besides Kingsley Pines and Sylvester Camps. I don't see this being a huge thing in Raymond that all of a sudden all these banquet halls are popping up everywhere. So it's kind of directed at us. We do know this, and I know you don't want to hear it, but we know it. So if you have any questions, please feel free to ask us as the board, because I've been doing this for a long time.
Well, that's great, and we would love to have that input, but every time you get up there, you become argumentative.
Well, sir, you have to understand the background.
Well, I don't want to do that. I want to work on getting a proper banquet hall, that ordinance in place for everyone's protection, for your I mean, Jackie said it perfectly at the meeting. You'll have something on a piece of paper that is the town ordinance that you know that if you're complying with,
Excuse
you're
my
golden.
distrust of the town at this point.
That's your problem.
No, it's
you know?
not. It's the
Yes?
town's problem.
Well, that's your problem.
No, it's the
Well, if you
town.
don't trust the town, then what difference does it make what ordinance is put in place because you're not going to trust the town anyway?
Well, we have every right not to trust the town.
Well,
So we've been through a lot
so
in this town.
bouncing back,
Yeah. go
we
ahead.
would love to have your input in formulating the banquet hall as someone that is involved in banquet halls. But if we're always going to have a discussion as to, this other stuff, then please, we're not going to listen to it.
Of course you're.
Okay.
No.
But say we got something done out of porta potties, which I think is better for the board and better for you and better for anybody else that holds it by just having a discussion on it. All right.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm
Don't leave.
we're talking about commercial use, IBC, assembly uses. I don't see how porta potties will work with this. If somebody's renting out a place, they're inviting people in, renting it out, people have expectations of, one, safety, so there's gonna be all the safety, life safety codes that are involved
Right.
in that. I think we're conflating two different things. I think we're conflating someone just having a party at their house, that's a private party, and someone who's renting an event space out as an event space. I just think they're two completely different things.
I would agree with you.
They're
We're defining that from indoor and outdoor, though, didn't we?
Yeah, we
didn't
did.
do that, we did that. We defined like the banquet hall as indoor.
We get rid of all the outdoor stuff.
Yeah, and then if it's outdoor, then it's just an event, and you should
Well, I just see a
provide
situation.
sufficient facilities.
Right.
We're not saying that you need porta.
I'm just saying, if somebody starts, because it's not a permitted use right now, right? Now it's a permitted use. People are going to see that.
Right.
Now, if people start opening them up, some people might just have porta potties up all year round.
To meet I see what you're saying. Okay.
So,
But if the standard practice and it's typical for it to come within, 48 hours of the event and go away within 48 hours after the event, something like that.
right, but we're talking about creating a whole new entity here.
Right.
This isn't just someone having a couple. Somebody might just have a couple, but it opens the door for somebody to have as many as they want.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I'm saying.
So the porta potties stay there year round.
It's possible.
It's possible. Yep.
It'd be expensive, I'll tell you that.
I mean, at 5 gallons a head, putting in a septic system for, the septic system I saw was for 1,200 gallons. That's a big system, but it's about twice as big as a large house, but it's not insane. I'm just saying, if you go to site plan review, everything, I don't see how that will work when looking at the code book.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, if this is, because to me, this looks like a commercial operation that's going to residential zone. I wouldn't want porta potties next to my house all the time.
Yep.
Jason, do you think it would be beneficial if we use some of the language, like from our draft short-term rental ordinance, let's say about the porta potty couldn't be existing on the property for more than, let's call it 30 days, kind of thing. You know, I think, and we can obviously extend or shorten that time frame, but at least it would give you the ability, if that porta potty remained on site for more than that amount of time, you know, you could do a drive-by, get photographic evidence, that kind of thing. It would give you at least some provision to fall back on in terms of where that violation
Yeah,
would be occurring.
and another part of this, you know, if this is commercial and they're doing it, is this going to have to be ADA accessible? They're going to have an ADA accessible bathroom? Because we're talking about a banquet hall.
Yeah.
I mean, a commercial operation.
Yep. Well, you're full of good tonight, I say. But you're right.
You know, unfortunately, you got to think of it of the worst case scenario
Yep.
sometimes.
Yep.
May I ask a question?
Yes, please.
Okay, Todd Roma. So Mr. Foster touched upon it earlier. When do you move from a property that has a barn that has hosted weddings, moving over to a banquet hall? Is that one and the same, or is there a transition?
That's a really good question. So I would say that I think that what we're looking at is defining a banquet hall as a business in that it's a money making operation, whereas the personal party is not a money making operation. So I think that is, and I'm not, to be honest with you, I'm not sure the lawyers would agree on it's actually a business or not a business. I mean, we went through this with the short-term rentals, and it was not a business, so.
Well, it's a business because it's used as a residence. That's why it's not a business.
Oh, okay.
Defined as the commercial use, if you're renting your house out as a house,
Right,
that's not considered,
that's not the considered.
that's not considered
Okay.
business. You can't rent your house out and say, have a motocross area in your backyard, charging people to drive in your motocross thing,
Right.
type of thing, then that's now a business.
That's a business.
You could drive your own truck around and have your friends over and do that, but the minute you start charging people to come over and use that, now it is
A
a
business.
business.
Okay,
And with that,
yep,
just to talk about, I've spoken to someone on the select board who has confirmed with me, hey, the federal government will allow you to rent your property up to 14 days without having to declare that income
as a business, right.
as a business.
Yep.
Yep.
What we're doing, we live at our house, we rent it out, we give it out. Oftentimes, we're just hosting for families and friends. We host for schools who want to come and get their photos done when the weather's poor, and we have a nice, well-decorated barn. We also set up an LLC because litigiously, it's the right thing to do. If we have people coming through and coming over, we want to make sure that we are protected. So I'm wondering about these issues and how it morphs from being able to do limited rentals of your property to then being put under as a corporation.
Yeah, that's a good, I mean,
Well, it's about renting it as a house or renting it to have a party there.
yeah.
I have a quick question. So in your case, is the event space and the residence on the same tract of land, or are they separated out into two different parcels, one owned by the LLC and then the residential?
Same tract of land.
It's the same parcel,
property.
all, okay.
Yep.
I mean, and actually, I've thought about this a lot. You could actually do away with this ordinance in some ways. You could have a home occupation, if it's wholly contained in an accessory structure.
Right,
You could conceivably have a barn, put the bathrooms in
I
there.
was gonna say the
Put
same
everything
thing.
in there, and it's essentially.
It's a home office.
It's a home occupation.
Absolutely.
And that is allowed. If there's some things you have to go through, you're still gonna end up with, having to have a seating plan showing how many people are there. Have a septic system that can handle it. It's part of, it has to be wholly contained within accessory structures. But the ordinances do allow for something along these lines without having a whole other ordinance to address it. I mean, we're kind of almost going into that area anyways now.
Yeah.
With this, but it's still, like I said, you'll still be subject to, if more than 50 people, you're gonna need 2 entrances, and all that stuff. So the ordinances already do allow for something along the lines of this. It's just whether you want to have something specific to this, I think.
In that instance, Jason, how are you addressing, you're saying you couldn't have porta potties, you'd have to have?
The way the ordinance reads, everything has to be wholly contained within an accessory structure. That's how the ordinance is written.
For home occupation.
For home occupation, and it's it's limited to 2 employees outside of the family. So there's a little bit of gray area there when caterers might be involved in something like that. I'm not sure how that would work. We'd have to look at that a little bit. But it's an occupation now. It's a business. So then it comes into ADA rules as far as running something like that, just to make it accessible for those people too. If you're going to open it up and just for anyone to rent, essentially, rather than more targeted, just people essentially.
Yes, exactly, and we do address that as well. Access into our barn, as well as into the house if necessary.
So can we proceed this way without even doing this?
Just in the discussions we've had here and talking about this, it seems like that. I think there still could be site plan review issues here. If a large parking area is going to create a bunch of impervious area, that's still going to trigger some site plan review. Excuse me. If someone's going to construct a whole new structure, like a 2,400 square foot or so structure solely for that, that would probably trigger some.
But we can do
planning board.
parking on grass, right? And
But it would just come to you guys,
Yeah.
and then you then at that point the discussion takes place, and what you guys are willing to work with.
And that would be not for a singular event. That would be
That's for something that's going to be used as
good to go for.
as a home occupation. But part of that home occupation would be what the infrastructure, so to speak, that would be needed to run that. They would come to the planning board and present that. So
That makes a lot of sense.
a lot of those mechanisms already kind of exist in the ordinances without having to create the whole ordinance.
Where you been the last 2 weeks?
Well, sometimes you start one spot and you have to do all this other stuff, and all of a sudden you're like right back where you started.
Yeah.
So.
Well, what do you think? What do you think of that approach I know I'm not going to hold you to it, and I know that all the information is out there, but just in general, it would be almost everything that's. I'll let you explain. Go ahead.
I'm not sure where you're going with that.
Well, so we would still keep the definition, right? Because if we're going to add it under a home occupation
Right.
instead of ZBA,
Yeah.
but home occupation with the potential, if needed, to be elevated up to the planning board for site plan review.
Right.
So we would still need to define that somewhere within
Yeah.
there, but still be permitted within all of the zoning districts. And then it would just be subject to our home occupation criteria.
Yeah.
That's already within our
Good,
ordinance. I don't have it in front of me, otherwise I would agree.
Yeah, I don't want to put you on the spot. It'd be probably better
I mean,
to answer that after you got a chance.
the only
to
things,
look at it.
the few outstanding things I see are like the timing thing. We don't have anything. Actually, the home occupation does have some, you're not supposed to be able to hear at the property lines. There are some of that, some buffering things. I would hate to see someone right up against the property line. If somebody's house is
Mhm.
some of these, smaller lot areas.
But that could be
if
addressed
through planning
through
board.
the planning board.
Yeah, and then, abutters would be notified, so they'd be able to speak to that,
Yeah.
but I don't know.
What are you guys thinking?
Better than this.
I like that.
I like it too.
That makes sense.
Hey now.
Right, you did everything.
I think Wayne wants to say something.
Wayne,
Yeah, I just had a question. How does a home occupation fit like in your industrial district?
Well, I think we're going to eliminate this.
Yeah,
right?
we
So-
would pare it down, obviously, to where it's applicable.
Yeah, so I can't see too many home occupations in the industrial district, but you never know.
That's why I asked.
Yeah.
All right, can we proceed in that direction? Everybody happy with that direction? See what we come up with? Like it, like it?
Yeah.
You gonna write it?
Heck yeah. Can be better than this.
Fantastic. So we can do away with banquet hall completely.
Kind of.
I can erase
Are they
this.
mentioned anywhere else in any of the other ordinances?
Like banquet halls
No.
or,
No, we
or,
have to add it.
no.
Not defined anywhere or anything?
Nope.
Okay.
I mean, you could add something to say it's okay in like the commercial district maybe, but even then, that's kind of, we don't really have any commercial district that would handle something like that. I mean, somebody could, I guess, in the future, put like a larger function hall in one of these commercial lots at some point. Then they wouldn't be in the home occupation realm. I mean, it could be now that they're trying to add more residential housing to commercial, so it's kind of a gray area there, but.
Well, maybe we call it like a subcategory of the
We could just in the commercial
occupation
district.
as like a event venue or something, like a home event venue. I don't know, something.
Well, I mean, the
On our
commercial
permitted,
district.
on our permitted uses, we could just add in banquet hall. Because
commercial?
we already have that term defined. And it would just be subject to all the standard commercial district standards, so.
Can I ask for a clarification on?
Yeah, please.
Just in terms of the banquet hall itself, self-contained unit, what about how are tents treated
It wouldn't be allowed.
at all?
It wouldn't be. No.
Well, no, it would be,
No, it wouldn't, not with the home occupations.
no, it would be allowed in the home occupation, but you could come in for a special event for the property, just like anybody else.
Like on a one-off sort of
Yeah.
thing?
Mm-hmm.
Like if you just do one or two a
It would require site plan review. It would still have to be inspected by the fire inspector, seating charts, all that stuff.
For a tent?
Yes. And I think Wayne, I don't know, Wayne might have something to say to that too.
On the
Okay.
tents,
Yeah, tents.
yeah, tents would need to be inspected. That's in the code.
But that's
It's like
existing.
these home occupations that are holding events, that would need to be inspected too.
But that's existing now, right, Wayne?
Our ordinance
Yeah,
for the
tents.
adopted code.
Yeah,
Yeah, we just would want to make sure that we capture it so people understand that has to happen.
right. So we're not adding any requirements. It's already there.
Wayne, can I ask when the last time you inspected a tent? Does it happen often?
It hasn't happened often, but as an example, when Fisherman's Cat set up the tent for outside dining, that was inspected to make sure that it was met the flammability requirements. There was requirements for the exiting. For an example, if they're aware that if they put any side curtains on, they got to have exits.
Does that qualify as a temporary structure though, or is that more of a seasonal structure, which would be kind of a longer term as I read it, as I've seen it?
As far as the code is concerned, it doesn't matter if it's seasonal or temporary. It's the use. It's being used as an assembly.
Do you use tents often?
Probably a few times, maybe one a season.
Oh, okay. So why can't it be the seasonal use? I mean, the one-time use for, I mean,
I'm just going by what the home occupation ordinance says. It's supposed to be, the occupation is supposed to be wholly contained within accessory structure.
could this just be a separate event?
I'd have to look at that. I don't
We will figure that one out. We
know.
don't,
Because I think it's kind of circumventing the essence of
Of the ordinance,
What about parking? Because I think our parking standards for home occupations are also pretty slim. Would there need to be like a subsection in there where references back to, for this, for banquet hall type uses then, where it falls back to that assembly type
Yep.
parking? Okay.
Yeah.
I'll make sure that framework's in there.
Do we have to call it banquet type usages? I mean, if we're gonna,
assembly use.
yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, but
I
definitely.
think it
want
is a
something for-
type of a occupation. I mean, it's not just any occupation. It's not like you're just like working out of your house and having one at a time clients coming in and out. Like,
Right.
You know, your occupational use is designed as a assembly.
Assembly.
Sort of a
You know, if we,
nature.
sorry.
go ahead, Wayne.
If we
Must be
think
a short
about
meeting.
like Keeley's in Portland, that's a banquet hall. It's a commercial building that's been converted into a banquet hall. I mean, you know, versus what you were just talking about, one or two people coming into a home occupation is totally different than what you have in like a Keeley operation.
Yeah, so that's where the home occupation thing falls short.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think that's probably why I was, you know,
All right, well, I'll see, yeah, I'll see if I can add in, like, maybe like a subcategory of, like, just a note, like, for where this is, since it's a larger type of use, but still under that home occupation, that it's subject to that assembly type use parking standards. So,
Okay.
I'll see where that's most appropriate to fit in our ordinance and make sure that's captured in, for next month,
Yeah.
so.
my big concern is residential areas. If this going into residential areas, who knows how it would ruffle feathers.
Yeah, no, that makes
It's,
sense.
you know, I feel more comfortable with everything inside because I feel like that's the best way to contain the noise, anything else, any bright lights and stuff like that. It's just, I think it sticks to the intent and of what the ordinance was, you know,
There used to
to
be an
allow.
operation on Valley Road, near where you, a little further down where you in a barn. I don't know if they still run that or not.
I don't know.
They had three tents set up, you know, not this last season, but the season before,
The place on Valley that I'm talking about?
the horse farm.
There we go, so.
And in our case, we use tents, you know, from time to time. Like, as I said, we've used, you know, one a season. And we would have a function inside the barn, and then it would flow outside.
And the outside.
Yeah.
Then we're going to get into the outside, the noise.
What about like bands and music and stuff? Is that inside?
No, it's
Sometimes that-
it's under the
Under the
tent, and music goes off at 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
And we do monitor that because
Oh.
we know about the ruffled feathers. You know, that's going to get into a conversation which we're all aware of. And
Yeah, which we don't wanna go
that's why
there.
we're here, but we don't want to go there, right? But I do like the idea of trying to ferret this out without ZBA approval, because the last time we went in front of the ZBA years ago, they were unable to really find the definition of quasi-use. And so if we can come to something else that doesn't require that, I think that's a win for the town.
Yeah, I'd like to do that because, I mean, if you look at, I don't want to put ZBA in a tough spot because if you look at what they have to use in the ordinance by the required for approval, it does not, you know, you guys would never meet it.
We have a hand up.
David
What?
Birch has got his hand up.
Oh, David. David?
Yeah, yeah.
Good.
Sorry.
That's okay.
Just to provide clarification for the home occupations
Yep.
for the parking. It says, in addition to the off-street parking provided to meet the normal requirements of the dwelling, adequate off-street parking must be provided for the vehicles of each employee and the vehicles of the maximum number of users the home occupation may attract during peak operation hours.
Okay,
So just to give you perspective.
thank you. That's easily done,
I have a question.
right? Because, I mean, you're meeting that already.
Yeah, we have plenty of
We
parking.
have, yes.
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
do.
But my question is like, so when we host our functions, our barn doors are all open. We have like food set up inside the barn sometimes for smaller birthday parties and stuff, but everyone's using our beautiful property because we have gardens and stuff. So people aren't just trapped inside of a barn. And even if I host a wedding, we host the wedding under a tent behind the barn. So we're not actually, people are walking in and out. I mean, there's not like we're closed into a barn. Again, we have plenty of space and we're very conscientious about noise. And when you have a tent that's larger and it goes down, it traps the noise in. So you don't hear much when you walk towards the property line anyway. So my question is, with this home occupancy, you guys kind of kept saying, or Jason kept saying, it has to be closed into a closed-in space, meaning we couldn't use our beautiful yard and gardens any longer, is what
I
you
mean,
were.
people could walk outside and stuff like that. It's just
You don't
that-
have to lock the doors.
It's just that the band,
The band
food,
goes under
everything, it
the
has to be
tent,
it has to be in a closed structure. That's how, I think that's the reason why they allow home occupations in the residences is
Right.
it's not
In our
spilling
case,
outside.
if we have a DJ or whatever, it's under the tent. The dining's all under the tent. The dance floor's under the tent.
But it's
And-
still outside.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm trying to tell you. We don't fall under what you're trying to,
Yeah, we have to work on that
Right.
tent thing.
because,
But you only do that a couple of times.
yeah, we're
Right.
seasonal.
Yeah, so I think we
live
can
on our
find a-
property. We
Right.
host these events. We're always there. We don't
And-
leave the property. And
No, I'm just saying, I think we can find a way around
Yeah.
people being able to use a tent. I mean, I can't imagine we can't find some way around that.
Like I said, in the family that I was helping with Illustrated, they're building a very large post and beam barn,
Right,
and it's all going to be inside there.
it's all gonna be inside. Yeah, but
But ours has already been there and established, and we've worked hard on this. And we came to the town in 2017 and talked to who was in your position and who was in your position. And
Alex?
we've put a lot of money into
Scott.
our property to preserve it for Raymond. And we've done a great job. And then we bought the property next door to preserve that for Raymond as well. So these little functions that we do, we make a little bit of money to try to help renovate our other property next door. We're not some huge
Yeah.
commercial
Yeah, well, I think
establishment.
we're on a much better trail here. But the tent is gonna be a problem, and we'll figure out some way.
That would be a huge problem because we are.
No, it's right, yes. No, I didn't mean it like that. I meant getting the tent, for us, getting the tent somehow into the ordinance as it exists is going to be probably a problem. But we can see, nothing is insurmountable. We can figure out a way. I'm sure we can figure out a way. It just,
Maybe,
Wayne,
Mr. Chairman, maybe combine, you putting the tent under the special event ordinance.
We had talked about
Maybe it would fit better there.
yeah, that's what we're
saying, yeah.
discussing, but then it doesn't fit with the home occupation.
Right.
What if the tent was attached to the barn?
It's not, it has walls. It's just what the ordinance, how the ordinance is written. No, it's to allow people to do stuff at their homes without it being out there.
Yeah.
You know, it's not necessarily meant for the banquet halls, but as I said before, there may be a way. It's not easy because it's not a traditional home occupation. You know, normally home occupation we talk about, you know, somebody doing mill work maybe, or having a little art studio, or sewing, or an office. You know, just doing accountant work. You know, it's more that type of stuff. You know, this is.
Okay, so I make a motion, we have Brett figure this out.
But at that same point, Jason, it's also not,
I was writing down.
it's not run 7 days a week.
Correct, but it just there's no place for the ordinances right now, generally speaking.
So then what we've done did not violate any ordinance.
Is that correct?
No, it did violate an
Yeah,
ordinance.
it did.
Having a tent, porta potty, and parking sign?
Yes, the ZBA
We,
said it did.
yeah.
We said it did.
We
I
were
mean,
never
it's
fined.
unfortunate that it did, but it does. It's a land use violation. It just is what it is.
What
What did it
ordinance?
fall, what ordinance did that fall under?
What ordinance? It's just not a permitted or conditional use.
It's not.
And you don't have a home occupation, correct?
What?
You don't have a home occupation permit to do it, right?
To have a tent, a porta potty, and parking sign on your property
To
temporarily?
have that, you know, don't have a whole.
There's no
occupation, right?
ordinance, though. Can you point to an ordinance where we violated it, though?
Yeah, it's rural residential permitted conditional uses. It's not listed in those.
Okay, you can
That's weird.
bug him on Monday or Tuesday.
Yeah, it's been litigated, so
I know.
it's passed.
I know, I've read it.
But we didn't get fined or anything, so it didn't actually get,
Well, you can
Well,
find if you'd like.
We can't,
Would you
we
like
can't, we
one?
can't talk about this.
No.
no.
Okay, so
I think that's weird.
let's move past this. I think we got a plan we'll look at.
So just to recap, the direction for next meeting, definition-wise, I think at least for the banquet halls, we're fine there. Changing the permitted use type under the home occupation type standards. Adding in, making sure parking, it's all appropriate there, or at least an appropriate spot, or at least maybe like a sub-reference if needed, where this is a little bit larger. And then also doing some research for outdoor tents events, as those are a little bit
Yes.
separate from what we're talking about tonight. So, okay, that'll be easy.
Okay,
Piece of cake.
Yeah.
piece of cake. Timeline, so the select want all proposed ordinances by March.
Okay.
So this is December. So we would have January and then February. February for, well, I guess we actually could do the public hearing in March and pass it to them in March. So we have 2 months. Okay.
Yeah, I think just to maybe play it a little bit conservative, though, it depends on how much you guys trust me too, I guess. If in December, if we feel pretty groovy and comfortable, you know, we could have like that dual meeting in February where we do the public hearing and then sending it off kind of thing.
Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah. Another thing too, I know, I don't know. I've seen other places do this before where, you know, if there's like a pretty minor edit, like if we needed to remove one paragraph or add one paragraph kind of thing, like after the public hearing, you know, making that change like real time, and then like that document would be sent off with those changes after the public hearing kind of thing too.
We have done that only if it's not a significant change. We're happy for glad. we
Right,
do
yeah.
that. But if it's anything
Yeah, but if
other
it's like
than
something
that-
massive, like obviously this is a much larger change that
Right.
would need a
So
little bit
we're
more
done.
time kind of thing. So, okay,
All right. This is supposed to be a short meeting.
we're doing great.
Right on time.
We still have,
They didn't turn that clock back still, right?
All right. Turn the page to marijuana. No, it's right here.
Yeah.
Oh.
Page 5.
What happened?
What do you mean what happened to it? That's it.
Oh, there it is.
That should be easy. Go ahead.
Yeah, so this is one, just to rewind again, we did pause this a little bit to have Vern from the State Office of Cannabis Policy to come and present to us. Obviously, we had a bunch of questions, and from where we landed, we had talked about implementing back odor control for the carbon filtration, those kind of technologies or mechanisms. And then I did add in a violation section as well, just to give Jason some teeth as well. So not a ton of changes here based upon our discussion. I know odor was really the big point of discussion last time though. So that is where this is at currently.
And these are in line with what Vern, right?
Correct.
All you talked about?
The only other thing I think we could do if we really wanted was to really bolster up our definitions. I think the state definitions have a wider variety where they define their terms, whereas really the ones selected here apply most to these actual standards. So,
Okay.
Jason, do you have anything else to add there?
The odor thing is just so hard. I mean, it's going to be based on complaints. You know, if somebody's got
Right.
100 acres in the middle of nowhere growing outside, nobody's going to
complaint?
I don't think so, unless they got a nose.
Depend on which way the wind is blowing.
Obviously, we still have, I kind of glossed over this, the authority section still, maintaining that statement that we're not an opt-in town. And then that, for at least the standards for the enclosures and setbacks, making sure that those operations are enclosed and then that they would comply with our agricultural setbacks. So that was, again, something we had discussed last time that we remained interested in, so. And Vern did confirm that we were legally allowed to do that under home rule, so.
Vern said there's ordinance on, or legislation on the governor's desk.
Oh, is there? I haven't noticed.
Had to increase capacity or
Oh, yes, right. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Oh, that one.
Yeah.
I thought you were referencing a new one. Yes, that's to allow, I think it was going from 30 to 150 per caregiver, or square footage number. I can't remember
Yeah,
what it
something
is.
like that. But this is not going to, that's not going to impact this.
as long as they're all indoors.
As long as they're all indoors, doesn't matter, right?
Yeah.
All right.
Lady has her hand up.
Yeah.
Yes.
Is it Desiree?
She's the one, Desiree?
Hi, it's Desiree.
Oh, hey, Desiree.
Hi, Raymond
Welcome
Hill
back.
Road. Yes, welcome back. I didn't know when Vern came if it was open. I was under the impression it was open to public discussion, so that's why I didn't join. But I did review this, and you know that I have some points. The first one is that I just want to clarify that Vern isn't a lawyer, and we've spent a lot of money on our lawyers, like looking at this problem. And so it is obviously up to the interpretation of the lawyer. So obviously it would be important to pass it along to your lawyers, because some of the things he said were not, they were convoluted between, personal adult use, medical caregivers, personal patient rights, etc. It was pretty confusing in how he kind of grouped them all together. But on this specifically, I was looking at the odor thing, and I think that, the odor control just really is not workable, and it's also not good for the environment. Odor scrubbers don't work the way that this ordinance is proposing that they work, or it suggests that they work. The town of Wyndham actually tried to almost use this exact wording for odor scrubbers, and they removed it because even with using like multiple commercial grade odor scrubbers, odor still escapes. The code enforcement and the planning departments, they acknowledge that the technology doesn't fully eliminate odor at the property line, and especially in humid environments that you have to grow cannabis in. And, when you open the door, you use HVAC systems, you have air return, things like that. So it's not gonna, even if you have odor scrubbers, it's not gonna be contained inside the building. And I did do a little bit of research. So a small caregiver grow, which is the home occupation for medical cannabis caregivers, you would need about 4 to 6 high capacity scrubbers. And they would need to run 24/7, which would cost thousands of dollars up front, hundreds per month in electricity, filter replacements, etc. And it still wouldn't meet the standard of not going outside the property line. So I just think, like, based on that, it's just not really enforceable. I live up on Raymond Hill, so some days it's not windy and other days it's really, really windy. And volatile oils can spread for miles in the air, which is like what comes off the cannabis that makes it smell. So I think that it would be really hard to kind of enforce this, especially for Jason, because as I pointed out, and I know Vern said, well, he could invite the code enforcement officer. I did clarify with our lawyer, we would stop the code enforcement, or any caregiver, legally compliant caregiver would stop the code enforcement at the door and tell them they are not allowed in, because they're there on official town business and they are not part of OCP. Even if OCP is inviting them, they're not part of OCP. So I don't know how Jason would be able to go into medical cannabis caregivers' homes, right? Like where they're growing, or even their greenhouses, and inspect them when, like, legally he can't. And then I also just feel like adding in the odor thing really puts the town more in like this middle situation between neighbors and neighbor disputes. because, you know, property line odor smells are really subjective. And I just feel like it's more complaint driven, and harder for Jason to enforce, especially when I did request a FOIA request on 10/9 to see how many complaints we've had. I asked for the past 10 years, which was kind of hard for them to find because there wasn't a lot of good documentation. But yesterday, which was 2 months since I requested it, they did have a flash drive containing a couple documents. So obviously this is not really like a townwide issue. And then really just, you know, throwing it way on back when we first discussed this with the short-term rental ordinance, one thing that you guys really emphasized on that was this noise ordinance. You didn't want to impose it on short-term rentals because it would unfairly target one like industry or sector. You would have to look at it at like a wide basis to impose like a noise ordinance for the town. This is just focusing on one piece of agriculture, which is the largest agricultural crop in the state of Maine at this point. But we're not imposing odor scrubbers on pig barns, chicken coops, you know, flower farms, making them go inside a contained structure, manure piles, any other agriculturally related things. So yeah, I just think that, you know, maybe just keeping that same philosophy across the board, that this is only for cannabis and it's not for other agricultural things, is kind of singling out the cannabis, and really hard to enforce, just so hard to enforce. So yeah, those were my points. I was just hoping, you know, maybe you guys would consider removing the odor scrubber requirement. I do think that you guys adopted the agricultural setbacks, which makes total sense, and I'm fully on board with that. I think that applies across all agriculture. But just instead of just targeting cannabis when it comes to odor, like if you want to do odor control, maybe you look at making all agriculture inside a contained structure with odor scrubbers. I don't like the smell of roses. If my neighbor's growing roses, they need to be inside a structure with an odor scrubber. Sounds kind of ridiculous, you know what I mean? But yeah, those are my points, and thanks.
Desiree,
Yeah.
what you said Wyndham removed the odor scrubbers. Did they replace them with anything? Do you know?
No, because they don't work. Really, if you're using any form of like high capacity odor scrubber, it's just not going to remove the smell of cannabis, because cannabis' smell is driven off of volatile oils from the plant, especially if it's in flowering, and that's not captured in any current technology for any odor scrubber. So that's kind of like the issue. Even when they had people doing them, it wasn't eliminating the smell at the property line. It wasn't really mitigating the smell at all.
So,
and it was just causing more complaints.
So Wyndham just eliminated that out of their ordinance and didn't replace it with anything?
No, not for the odor.
Okay.
And I know when Chris Hansen, he was here when you guys first talked about this, and he had mentioned, I believe, that he was part of creating the ordinance for cannabis, and they got rid of that because you just can't enforce the odor control if I put 10 scrubbers, right? Someone puts 10 scrubbers on their home and it's still not eliminating the smell because they're volatile oils, and I have HVAC and the doors are going to open and close throughout the day when you're going in and out of the property. At what point, like, am I going to be fined? Am I going to be in violation, even though I've now paid tens of thousands of dollars to try to mitigate this issue that can't be mitigated because of just where the smell's coming from and how it is in oil, and it's not just like in the air. It's like it's just the compound of the volatile oils is a lot different on cannabis than other plants.
We got it. Thanks, Desiree.
Yeah, sorry.
I mean, I had a thought. I mean,
Good.
We could, and I don't know how David will feel about this, again, go the conditional use route here, because it does mention odors.
Yeah.
In the conditional use, and that would require a site walk, and then the applicant would kind of have to just it's up to the applicant to propose something that's going to meet the standards there. So, you know, we don't have to necessarily parse it out and figure out everything. We don't have to put the requirements on there. They make the proposal, show it how it's going to happen, how they're going to meet these criteria, which I think most of this would alleviate, especially the odor. I mean, it says it right in there, at the property line, and then it would be a case-by-case basis, which, you know.
You're on a
let's
roll
face it,
today.
Not every piece,
It's Wheaties.
It must be something.
not every piece of property is the
Did you get a
same.
night's sleep last night?
I didn't get any, no, but maybe I'm riding that exhaustion. high.
Maybe it's so cold.
Yeah, that sounds good to me.
I like that, yeah.
Jackie? You didn't convince Jackie.
Yeah, because I mean, if you have, 300 acres and your facility is whatever in the back, then you shouldn't have to have a scrubber. But
Yeah,
if you're 20 feet from someone's house, you are going to have
You're
a
gonna have to
scrubber.
do something.
right.
I built 4 of these industrial commercial grows,
Yeah.
and they do work. They function perfectly.
Am I
That's
allowed to ask a question?
No, but we'll let you anyway, Desiree, because we like you.
Okay. I know that you, Mark, you mentioned that you built the commercial things. We're talking about home occupation cannabis caregivers in this ordinance. So these are not commercial industrial buildings with 3-phase power. They're people's homes with either a greenhouse or they're like growing in their garage or things like that. So that does change the capacity load at which, on a commercial building, you have 3-phase power. It's a lot different than the access that you have. And I've worked in commercial grows, really large commercial grows, for a number of years now, and we've had odor scrubbers, and you can still smell it outside the building. So I guess that's just like my question. And then with the site walk, these people are already like compliant within the state of Maine under very rigorous restrictions. So would they need to stop their cultivation? Because right now you don't need, for home cultivation, you don't need like local approval. Like I don't have to go to the town if I build a house and say, I need you guys to approve the grow in my garage as long as I'm legally compliant under the state of Maine for home occupation cannabis caregivers. So I just, would someone have to stop cultivation because I need to clear out, there could be no visible cannabis plants, seedlings, anything like that for you guys to come do a site walk. So that would completely shut down an operation when they're plants they're living. So that would take like 3 months to recuperate from.
You got it?
So I think what we do is we're going to specify that this is outdoor.
Not indoor, right.
Indoor, because the indoor ones I don't think are the issues.
Right.
Yeah, I think,
So the outdoor, and then you do a site walk in March before anything's in the ground.
Yep.
Okay, so it's like for like a greenhouse basically?
It could be. It's going to be, the applicant would propose what they're looking to do, and go through that process. And it would only be a one-time thing. Once you got that conditional use, as long as it's in the same spot, boom, it runs with the
You're good to
land.
go.
Or as long as
Okay,
that
and-
caregiver's in the house, I should say.
And are you guys gonna change this based on the legislation that's sitting on the governor's desk that defines sun-grown differently than indoor?
I think we would just do outdoor, right?
Yes.
Outdoor.
We just,
no, I thought we weren't
Caregivers.
going to do
We
outdoor.
weren't going to do outdoor.
we're only going to do indoor. Weren't we?
So
What I was saying for the conditional use would be for outdoor caregivers. That's what I was referencing.
I thought last meeting that we got rid of that completely.
Okay.
Is that,
Yeah.
that's what I remember, is there's
yeah.
no outdoor growth.
we have the ability to make a more restrictive
That's right.
ordinance than what the state
Yep.
says. And the issues that arise are from the outdoor grows. So the thought was
I just,
not having outdoor.
I
Or we had talked about limiting,
yeah, I
Certain
just,
number of
I
plants
think,
per
I think it's
acreage
being
or
a little unfair to, people who want to try and use the sun instead of a whole bunch of electricity. And if they have, like I said, 100 acres and they're going to put it outside in their backyard.
So, I mean, you make a good point. That's why I said 100 acres is fine. But to Desiree's point, she said it's not a commercial building, it's a home. And that's exactly the point that I'm trying to make, is
Yep.
that it's someone else's home next to their home.
Yep.
So, again, I overuse this maybe, but your rights end where mine begin.
Right.
If you're 20 feet from someone's house, you do not have the right to invade their space.
Right.
So if it's 100 acres, absolutely. So
That's
that needs
why-
to be in here somewhere where you could have an outdoor grow if it's 100 acres, sure.
So that's
Next
where,
door to somebody, no.
that's where the conditional use where it says will not generate noise, vibration, fumes, or dust,
Right.
which is detectable at the lot boundaries. That's why I said if we make this a conditional use, they're gonna have to show
Right,
that
sure.
they're hitting that, and then they can do the outdoor grow. Because they have to,
Right,
or else
but
it's
is,
a violation.
sure, but how do you measure that to be fair to someone who's gonna put money into this grow? Like if they establish it here and then you come and say, no, you can feel a vibration and smell, you have to move it back. So is there a setback? Is there 100 feet? Is there 50 feet from someone's house? Is that gonna be written in? And that's why I think that we just sort of get rid of the outdoor grow, but because of the photos from,
Mr. Richardson.
there you go.
Yep.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, somebody's,
I do-
tenants in the driveway. That's not fair.
I had one last question for you guys about this. The majority of the complaint is from this one property that was referenced from Mr. Richardson's complaint. So wouldn't that be like the one issue versus like across the town? I've seen in other towns that have imposed the strict restrictions, and it just forces the compliant caregivers to move. And then, hypothetically, right, you have this home that's already been set up for a grow, and now caregivers who are compliant can no longer grow in those spaces. Who do you assume is probably buying a house that's already like set up to be a grow? Probably not a legally compliant caregiver any longer. So somebody who's not legally compliant and choosing to do that. So I worry because it's just this issue with Ray Richardson, and for conditional use, if my neighbor says it's fine and they like tell the town it's fine, they don't care about the smell, but then someone 5 miles down the road because the wind's blowing is having a problem, like would I have to move it? I guess that's where I like, the wind blows and you can smell stuff. Just like with noise at night, if you have a party, you can hear it for miles.
It's just so subjective,
It
it's
is.
like, and I don't feel right placing like a risk, like saying, well, this one's okay, but 3 is not. Like, I don't know that. Like,
Yeah.
It's not an easy.
Just think in Hudson Valley, New York, to get rid of fire burning chimneys because of neighbors' complaint of smoke. So this is okay. We're in a good spot right here. Yeah. So yeah, you can't burn wood anymore. So
I mean, you could still grow it with sunlight in a greenhouse, can't you? I mean, you use sunlight.
Right.
And
Yeah.
that's
yeah, and that was
enclosure.
one of the points that was made. That it can be in a greenhouse
Yeah.
inside, and then what is this? The 100 amperes of electricity per 1,500 square feet. Said that was incorrect. That was.
I think they
something
removed.
taken
I think they
out.
removed
removed that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and Desiree might be able
Yep.
to speak to that actually, but I think that was
Yep.
removed from that
Yep.
legislation we were talking about.
Yep.
Yeah, that was removed from the official legislation that was passed on to the governor. But does that mean I have to run underground power all the way back to my greenhouse and put an overhead scrubber on it? Sorry, I'm just trying to think about the logistics. My power ends here. If I have to move it to the end of my property, so that way I can grow my cannabis, now I'm gonna have to run like underground power there to run the odor scrubbers and the fans that you have to put in the greenhouse to keep the humidity down.
What would you say is like the threshold between how many plants you have to have for it to like not be detrimental to do that type of work? Like if you have 6 plants, is that like, oh, it's too expensive to worry about? Or if you have 100 plants, is like you make enough off of your 100 plants that it's.
If we were talking about like 2015, I'd tell you 6 plants would be great, but we're talking now about 2025 and the market is upside down. So like, to be honest, even 500 square feet, like I'm paying my light bill. So, but this is what I've done my entire life, and I have a small hobby farm, and I have this, and I'm not gonna change course, so it would be like detrimental. It takes like that 500 square feet, which can be anywhere from like, 70 to 80 plants. I don't grow outside, I grow indoors, but I put my own adult use plants outside, my 6 plants out there, 3 plants or whatever it is. So now I would have to get a greenhouse and move those out back, or if I want to utilize the outside, I'm gonna have to put a greenhouse in the back of my property, which is obviously gonna cost me a lot to get power back there.
Desiree, is that because you use the greenhouse year-round?
No, I grow in my garage. Yeah.
Oh.
So I haven't grown outdoors in like 3 years because I had a kid and built my farm. So, but I'm hoping to, with the sun-grown cultivation, that I was up at the legislation in Augusta when they were talking about this and discussing it. And obviously I was a huge supporter because it cuts down my costs a lot. It makes it environmentally sustainable. It decreases my carbon footprint. I'm all about that stuff. So yeah, I was planning to, obviously now I only have to get a greenhouse, and I just want to figure out the logistics of like where I'm gonna have to run power to, like if I'm gonna need these odor scrubbers, because once you put it inside the greenhouse, it just changes the logistics of growing outdoors a lot because of the humidity.
Well,
I don't know either. I don't want an ordinance to put undue burden on people, but I also don't want people to be stuck in their house in the summer with their windows closed because they can't enjoy their yard because of the smell.
I mean, that's why I think a conditional use on it, the abutters are gonna have to be notified, they're gonna be able to show up at that meeting, they're gonna be able to voice their opinions, there's gonna be a site walk, and I hate to say, common sense prevails, but, if you look somewhere and you see, well, there's not a neighbor for 1,000 feet on either side, it's, the chances of someone being overwhelmed by the smell are probably pretty low, I would say.
and also given the size of the crop.
Right. Yeah. Right. And they'll
Right.
get a sense, they'll obviously if they came in for it, they'd have to kind of give either a square footage,
Yes.
they'll show the plot
Yeah.
basically. And that would kind of inform someone.
So but now we're back to outdoor with conditional use. Indoor,
I think indoor is kind of taking care of itself.
Takes care of
I don't
itself.
think we've had a complaint about indoor.
yeah, I don't see why we would.
Generally, they're using the scrubbers, or something to
Yeah.
try and deal with the smell anyways, so I don't think I don't think we need to create an ordinance for something that may not be even a problem. That
So
part.
we're back to outdoor as a conditional use.
I mean, that'd be my preference, to be honest. I don't know if David's still on there and he has anything to say about that.
Well, I think it makes a lot more sense because it could be individualized then.
Because not every lot's.
Right, not every lot's
It's
the
hard to
same.
put something that's gonna pigeonhole everything into one,
Not every grower is the same.
not every piece of land is the same.
Not every piece of land is the same. Not every butter is the same.
Yep, and we could go by, say, not in the village zoning, stuff like
Right.
that, because
Because
village
the
lots
lots-
are gonna be small, and they're more apt to have a lot of, people and families nearby. It's
Yep.
just the way it is, but in the rural district with 3 acre lot minimums, 3 acres is a good sized lot,
Mhm.
I drive around town a lot, and I rarely smell it. Occasionally I'll get a whiff, but
Yes? Yeah. Jackie?
Yeah.
What do you think?
Reasonable option, I've heard.
As long as we get motocross tracks in our backyard.
Say Dave.
as long as you're not charging people to do it.
Does that mean like?
There's the inconsistency again here. Every one that we've done so far is this banquet, and we've done the short-term rental, and we're doing this. It's all because of it's a business and a
Yep.
home.
That it really is the
That
problem.
is the problem.
Yeah.
Every single
And I
time.
think the conflict.
Everybody wants to make their
spoke to
money
that.
in their house.
Yeah.
Which is understandable.
That's the issue.
Yeah.
It's understandable.
Sure, but then we're going to make ordinances. Like this is the major. This is why I have such difficulty with
Yep,
this. Is
yep.
that if it's your home, you should be able to do whatever you want with it. But we can't.
Right.
because
We
it's a
can't,
business,
but
But it's
the-
not a business, so
but
that's why it goes back and forth.
I feel like
So I said, I want a
some-
motocross track.
Right,
I'm gonna build one.
But I feel like these ordinances are actually allowing people to do more. You know, it's they're not trying to be restrictive, it's to try to put the guardrails up, essentially. So, okay,
Yes.
you can get these people to do these
Yes.
things, but have some type of guardrails, because right now there's nothing, so
Yes.
it'll be Wild West, and then
Right.
it's...
Solar. That's
Right,
the-
so-
I mean, it's the
Yeah.
same, it's the
We
same
still, like you say,
conversation.
we still talk around the issue is we don't separate out the business
Yes,
from the home.
Right,
And right now, they're both together,
right.
and we can't separate them out.
Right.
Right.
But if you do look at, you know, what I've read, the commercial use of a house as a rental unit for a house is that's been exempt for
Oh, yes, right.
forever. You know, obviously now, you know, that was probably written 25 years ago when short-term rentals were different than they are now. Now it's much more prevalent. So I think, you know, Phil did say, I believe, we could define something as a business if we wanted to, but I think that it's too gray,
Yeah.
if you ask me. So
Okay. Marijuana, you got it?
it should be simpler. I know you put a lot of work into it, and we paid you good money
Yeah.
for it, but you know, whatever.
You get paid by the word, don't you?
Good to know.
Learn right fast.
So, making the outdoor conditional. And from, I guess, what I'm hearing, it might be a little bit more appropriate to do prohibited in shoreline zoning, where those lots are a little bit smaller, so.
Not shoreline, village.
Or village, yeah, shoreline, the smaller.
Yeah, well, I mean, you have
Processes. I realize
Cape, you
it's
have
gonna
Cape,
be-
because the Cape being all in shoreline zone really complicates when we eliminate shoreline zone. 'Cause there are some large lots out, and there used to be farms out there.
They got five.
I mean, you could say LRR1 because that's the 2-acre lots on the water, and a lot of those are small lots. On LRR2 is Cape 3-acre minimum, and it's more expansive. I mean, it's
Mm-hmm. Yeah, let me, I guess I'll have it listed out where exactly it's prohibited versus conditional.
yeah, 600.
What, protection's 100?
Yeah. And
and
resources.
As a comment?
50.
Resource protection.
Wayne's got a comment.
There are areas of the country that have dealt with this for quite a while, and maybe we can get some ideas from different areas of the country instead of just our own neighborhoods.
Yeah, I mean, truthfully, Wayne, I mean, I did some research through this. I mean, like, Portland is a good example. Like, I think they're kind of like one of the places where a lot of people look to for like the odor control, in particular with the higher density there as well. They want to make sure they're not impacting just the higher populations there. So, like that kind of language exists within those towns. But in terms of just conditional uses, I mean, that's pretty simple, just to make sure that's within our use table, so.
All right. I think we're good with the marijuana, right? All right. Brett, Jason, and I presented the short-term rental proposed ordinances to the selectmen yesterday. They had some good questions. A lot of them were really questions that we had discussed. And they were just more curious as to how we reached our conclusion. Their plan, when we left, their plan was to give it back to Jason and,
Glenn?
Glenn. See, that's the Glenn. See, I know there's a Glenn around here somewhere. Jason and Glenn to look at and just for their cut, and then they're going to proceed then with that to the process.
I mean, I've looked at it enough. I think it's.
Yeah.
You know, there was a point in there that we hadn't really considered, I think, when we were doing when we were putting in the clause about the insurance coverage.
Right. That was
But I think, you know, we didn't really take into account the fact that there are these like local property management companies that manage rentals. There's like the Crane Inn and like
Yeah, yeah.
Jordan Rentals and things that are smaller local businesses that handle the rentals that are not an Airbnb, you know, and they're not Verbos. And they probably don't offer that same sort of insurance coverage that the big companies do. You know, and we don't want to drive everybody away from using those local agencies to
But
do their
I don't
booking.
think our insurance, the request for insurance is anything more than your average person is going to carry. I
It's
mean,
up to the property owner.
Yeah.
I believe the way it was written, at least, it's less about like Airbnb, like proving that you have insurance through them, or whether it's like some like third party. It's just more so just about the property owner, if they're covered.
Okay.
Well, because I think that was, because that was talked about too. I think it was Mark that brought up like no insurance carrier is going to write a policy to cover the town kind of thing. Right? But,
Right.
but in the instance, if there's like a septic leak, for example, where it is impacting town property, obviously what's going on in town property is a separate issue, but at least they're insured to fix that issue on site kind of
On-site,
deal
yeah.
too. So it'd be similar if, someone had a really big party and things got a little too crazy and I don't know, something happened to the house, it became an eyesore or whatever, they're insured to make those repairs too. But yeah, I thought that was an interesting discussion last night.
Yeah.
I'm looking for a motion.
Move to adjourn.
Motion to go to
Second?
bed.
All those in favor? Oh, wait a minute, well, good. We need to get, Sandy, I told you I'd forget. Now I can't.
I know.
Now I forgot even what I was supposed to do, completely.
That's, I'll call Brett in the morning, even though I'm not working, and he and I'll get it figured out.
Oh, no, we can do it right now, it's pretty easy.
For what, the agenda?
Yeah, we just need, before we go, we just need to finalize the agenda, because we're in a
so-
timeline.
So we don't have
Crunch.
any new
Yeah.
applications, correct, Sandy? Nothing
Right.
came in today, so, I don't know, would we have minutes to review? Obviously, I think that's something that you could do,
Yes.
Sandy.
Yep.
So in terms of old business, discussion review of ordinance changes related to banquet halls, discussion review of draft marijuana regulations, and then we would want to make sure we could do the parking standards for short-term rentals as well.
Now, can you say some of that a little slower? I mean, yeah,
No.
I take shorthand, but Jesus, not 200 words a minute.
Well, I was just reading off the agenda you already had.
Just a summary.
Yeah.
Sandy, how about I just send you a message in the morning and you can copy and paste it?
That'll be perfect. And then I can review it. If I have questions, I'll get a hold of you, and then I'll get that knocked out Friday.
Since I get paid by the word, I'll make it as long as possible.
Oh, yeah, gee, thanks.
At some point when things slow down with everything in town with the lawyers, I'm going to reach out to Phil. So starting, the clock began September 24th for you have 180 days for that training for the 1829.
Oh, okay.
So, we're down to about 4 months right now, which seems like a long time, but it's probably going to come up quick.
Yep.
So I'll try and reach out to him to see if we can have him come in and just, our two boards can have a workshop or a dialogue, and he can kind of do some training on what that's
So if
gonna
we're not
be.
trained, they fire us all?
Yeah, yeah.
Board
I don't know
gets
how long-
dissolved.
A lot of that works.
Kind of small
But,
as it is. We don't need any more help.
But that's
a great idea.
That's gonna be those zoning changes are gonna be a surprise for a lot of people. So I'm trying to get out in front of this and let people know, especially people who are own land in those areas. I just want them to be aware, what's gonna happen with that.
Preference would be on a light Wednesday, if we have one of those things, which
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. But I think it should be, just the boards.
I agree.
And
And Phil. Yep.
Forecast wise, I think we know next month generally we're going to be in a pretty good place with these, and I think February probably moving towards public hearing. I mean, ideally, because we want to get this in by March.
Oh, yeah, we gotta have Phil here.
So,
Yeah, and I still have to see if him doing
Yeah.
the training is gonna
Yeah.
satisfy the state, what they're looking for. I'm not
Okay.
even sure if they have a guideline for that yet. And that's from Phil himself. So, yeah.
All right. Maine Municipal Association, whatever, they have a lot of online trainings too. So if it's been if they've done a training, it's pre-recorded. It's usually
Some of
just
you can
like
be able to
50
watch.
bucks that you can just watch
Yep.
from home.
Right,
on
right, right.
computer.
I just don't know even if they have any trainings on this available yet because it's so new.
Yeah.
No one wants to leave, huh?
Yeah. All good to
Did
vote, right?
vote?
Oh, we didn't vote. I'm sorry. All in favor? Jeez, I thought we already did that. I rarely let that get by.